here on a Friday. Cody Tapp, no Drew, no Alex. And for as much as I've been accused of not supporting the troops, who showed up to work for Veterans Day, you know? Not the other two. Not them. Just me and Quentin, who's back. Former intern Quentin. That's not the end of the show yet, is it? God, that would just be very quick. So he's here today. We'll have our guy Jason Nivens, who's just in on the roundtable. He'll join us at noon. Rob Collins for Club 610 at 1. Pete Sweeney at 11. So we'll have a cast of characters throughout the show, but it'll just be me, Q on the other side of the glass, taking you here on a non-Red Friday, bi-week, semi-Red Friday, right? It's red even if it's this when your team's that good. Brought to you by ComCare. Call or text 988 for 24/7 mental health support. That's 988 for 24/7 mental health support over at ComCare. Look, I know that normally this is about the time you get to watch some other teams. So you start either feeling better about yourself or feeling worse. That's a more than fair place to be. I'm sure if you watched any portion of Panthers-Bears last night, you immediately felt a lot better about yourself, knowing that you're not the team who spent the number one overall pick on a quarterback who couldn't even beat Tyler Bagent and one of the worst teams in the entire NFL. So you could feel a little bit better about yourself. But as I sit here in this bye week and I really try to dive down the things that should worry you as far as the things that will stop you, prevent you, be the reason why you don't win a Super Bowl this year, because that's all we care about in Kansas City. What are the things that will stop you from your inevitable goal? Okay. So I was going to come up with a list. Figured I'd fire off Q. I'd be like, all right, I'll give you the 5 reasons, the 3 reasons why here are the things that will stop the Chiefs from winning the Super Bowl. And you want to know the truth? It's only one. It is only the wide receivers, and it is anything outside of that exact reason.
I think you're right. I would probably throw in turnovers. Turnovers have been a problem for the Chiefs this year, but I would even blame the fumble that Patrick Mahomes had and a lot of the interceptions on the fact that these wide receivers can't get open, and so the Chiefs are having to hold on to the ball a little longer. So I would throw turnovers in there with the caveat that even some of those turnovers are to blame on the wide receivers not being able to do their best.
Yeah, I'm not saying turnovers have no factor in this conversation. They obviously do. And I could even say, hey, maybe that's a reason that would stop them from getting there. But in my mind, it's not. It is not the thing that will hold them back, largely because I know they have solved that problem before. In the middle of the year, they have solved that problem before. They have had turnover issues in each of the last 2 seasons and solved that problem before. So I just assume at some point they will come to the eventual solution there. Like, I don't want to go as far. I think I sent out a tweet last night that people thought I was being genuine about. And I just want to be very clear. I was just making a joke. I don't actually believe the Chiefs should feel bad about it and letting Amir Smith-Marset go versus what other people, because he had 1 punt return for a touchdown yesterday. He has 0 catches. None this year. But I also understand that when I send out a tweet that says, let the Smith-Marset conversations from training camp recommence, and I see more than half of the people being like, that is the player they should have kept, I'm not sure why they didn't keep them. I'm assuming it's because you feel the same way I do, which is this is the only thing that can stop them from winning a Super Bowl. Look, offense is down in the league pretty significantly. So if you watch the Chiefs offense and you tell yourself, boy, that doesn't look like a team that can score. There are a lot of teams in the NFL who feel that way because scoring is at its lowest through 9 weeks since 2007. So, I mean, they're not alone in their inability to score, but normally you'd say, okay, if they were the second or the first highest scoring offense, then you would still be lower scoring, but you would still rank similarly in football as the rest of teams. What I'm telling you is there's a lot of teams who are suffering through the same issues that the Chiefs have. But the only thing that's going to stop them from winning a Super Bowl at this point is wide receiver, unless something new crops up. It's not going to be their defense or their pass rush. There were previous years when we used to say maybe special teams was going to catch them. There was times last year when I thought a missed Harrison Butker field goal because of his injury, or like you'd mentioned, the turnovers. There were other things that genuinely concerned me. They let up a lot of deep passes, right, last year. Maybe that was going to be the thing that got them. Just a mistake at the wrong time. don't feel that way right now. I feel like it's just one thing. If the wide receivers can improve even slightly, then we're good here. Everything will be fine, and the Chiefs will be on their way to their second consecutive, back-to-back Super Bowl titles, 3 in 6 years. Everything on the table, everything back on board, the same stuff we were talking about before. But no, you don't need to, freak out about Smith Marset. If you're going to, go back and have, I wish we would have, then you should go further back. You should go back to DeAndre Hopkins or even just the trade deadline if you decided on a guy there. Not Amir Smith Marset. Don't do this to yourself.
Yeah, you can't think. I know.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, I know that sometimes football fans, specifically here in Kansas City, we like to focus on, the fun story that comes in from training camp, guys that, explode on the practice field and, just to show up and show off, when we're out there making one-handed catches while they're in shorts and a T-shirt. And anybody that, talks about a wide receiver that explodes in training camp, I always like to just tell them they better look good in training camp. When you're in shorts and a T-shirt, you better be making those spectacular plays because your play level is going to go down when you put pads on. The point you brought up about the offense being down, everything is down. Passer rating is down almost 10 points since 2021. Yards per attempt is down since 2021. I mean, everything is down.
I'll give NFL Live credit. They actually had a really good segment on this yesterday. I encourage you to check it out. Between Dan Orlovsky and Mina Kimes and some others, they were kind of discussing what is it defenses are doing that is preventing this. A lot of it they attribute to is disguised blitzes, like fake pressure. They have 9 guys at the line of scrimmage, but you don't know how many are coming. I would probably just generally attribute it to the ebbs and flows of an NFL season and how an NFL season's over time where defenses typically have a 2 or 3 year run in which they kind of control the league. And then for a 2 or 3 year run, it's the offense's time and they kind of run shop for a while the defenses try to catch up with what they've figured out. What's surprising to me is I thought the league was going in a direction that was, okay, we are doing this no deep passes, shell coverage, cover 2 stuff that seemingly frustrated the Chiefs a couple of years ago to the point that they had to adjust a little bit how they worked and that the Chiefs were going to be at the forefront of solving this problem. But they're not. I don't think it's because of scheme. There are a lot of, I know this sounds crazy. This is why I think it's really mostly the wide receivers and not Mahomes or not Reed or not Nagy or any of these other people you want to put some of this on, is there are a lot of numbers outside of points per game that suggest the Chiefs aren't that far off. That they do still, other than the deep passing game, which we mentioned yesterday, they do still do a lot of the things that they've always done well, but there's a limitation from separation perspective that they've never really had to contend with, which brings up a whole nother problem offensively, and it's why I still think it's the single biggest reason that would hold them back, stop them, whatever. Because at this point, I don't think, if we just did mid-season lists, give me the 3 biggest reasons you think in a playoff game would stop the Chiefs from winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, sure, turnovers would be on your list, but you also probably, in the back of your mind, are putting that to the, I assume they'll solve it department. Because that's how I would view it. I would assume that at some point, they will remedy that situation. The wide receiver thing, other than guys just improving, borderline magically, that's not the case. And for any of the, Quentin brought up the training camp wide receivers looking good, like Amir Smith Marset. I would quickly point out, as someone who went to every single weekday training camp practice, and Pete Sweeney, who's joining us at 11, said the same thing. You know who looked great in training camp? Like a number 1 wide receiver, ready to take the leap, ready to step in for this team, filled it. Sky Moore. So, training camp results mean absolutely nothing in the regular season. And Amir Smith Marset last night returned that kick, and I just kind of, offhanded comment, right? Offhanded comment, and all of a sudden get yourself in trouble. Coming up in 50 minutes, we will have our guy Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride join the show. Talk all things Chiefs. We'll have a little bit of fun here today. And look, over on Twitch, they're pointing out, hey, injuries might be the only other thing you would even toss in that. But you could say that about literally any team.
Yeah,
right?
any team.
That's not why not's not wrong on Twitch, but also you could say that about anyone. The wrong injury at the wrong time, and yeah, all of these ships are sunk, and that might be the third thing on everyone's list at any time. I was, because it's the bye week, really looking to dive into where the Chiefs stand at the number 1 seed and what are the odds to do it. So, of course, I'm looking at the strength of schedule. FPI, which is ESPN's model, would say the Chiefs have got a better than 50% chance to be the number 1 seed, which is pretty good considering somebody has the exact same record as them in Baltimore. So you would think they would have an equal chance to do it, but they don't view it that way, versus Philly, who they think has a 75% chance. But then I was really trying to decide not just what the analytics would tell you about strength of schedule, but what we actually think about the teams upcoming on the Chiefs schedule and how hard or not hard we think it will be the rest of the way. In my estimation, the Chiefs only have, out of their remaining schedule, half of them I do think are tough games. So I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk. And if I think the Chiefs, who are one of the, obviously consistently winning franchises in all of the league, are going to continue to win at that level, and there's no reason to think not to, I will give them in extremely tough games or medium tough games a 500 record. That's being conservative, and I think we'd all agree that's being conservative. I think you could fairly almost give them 3-1, but I'll just say 2-2. If they go 2-2 the rest of the way, the 4 hard games, in my opinion, are the Eagles, obviously. The Bills still, even though I think that they've got some problems and are 5-4, they can score. They give some matchup problems to Kansas City. And as bad as their defense has been struggling, that's not something the Chiefs are taking advantage of right now. So unless that looks a lot different in a month from now, on December 10th, exactly a month from now, then I don't think that they can take advantage of it. And then Cincinnati, and I'll say Chargers on the road. The only reason I considered, I'll be honest, I considered not including the Chargers on this list, considering the Chiefs' current record against the AFC West over their long history of playing them. And it's not really a road game, right? So that doesn't matter. And they absolutely steamrolled them in the first one. But they've played close games mostly with them. Herbert's still very good. They could be healthier, hypothetically, in that matchup, although they're never getting Mike Williams back, and they didn't have him in the first one either. So I'm going to chalk that up one. I almost didn't put it in the hard category, but I do. But I'll tell you right now, and looking at the rest of their schedule, they are 100% winning the other 4 games. They're not losing to the Raiders either time. I don't care if they got an interim coach or not. They're not losing to the Packers. I don't care if that one's on the road. That is one of the least watchable offenses in the entire NFL. And the Patriots will have to get to, the Chiefs are going to have to, the Patriots are going to have to face one of the league's best defenses. And what, Mac Jones is going to throw up 17, 24, 27 points? No chance. So if you're looking at where they're going to land in this thing in the actual strength of schedule, I'd say this really does favor the Chiefs. There are 4 difficult home game, or 4 difficult games remaining. They get the Eagles at home after a bye, even though the Eagles are on the road. I understand, or the Eagles are off a bye too. They get the Bills at home. They get the Bengals at home, and they get the Chargers essentially at home. That's not a road game. At the very best, that's neutral site. So of the 4 difficult games remaining on their schedule, they have 3 home games, 1 after a bye, and let's just be generous and call it neutral site. I think you could probably tell me that there's going to be more Chiefs fans in there, depending on whether or not, depending on whether or not the Chiefs even have anything to play for at that point in Week 18. That's another reason why this game maybe doesn't land in the hard category or to be determined, right? Maybe it's in its own little separate. 3 hard games, 4 easy games, and 1 to be determined. This team, based on this, maybe 2 more losses the rest of the way?
Yeah, and
13-4 will get you the 1 seed.
Well, and the only reason that the Chargers have one fan and she's sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Good for her.
And yeah, I don't even know if the Bills game is really considered a hard game. It depends on what they do over the next couple of weeks. I didn't have the Bills making the playoffs in my preseason predictions, so maybe my opinion on this is a little bit more biased, but I think that team is going to fall apart here in the next couple of weeks, especially if they fall flat on their face, because their offense is just too Josh Allen centric. And if Stephon Diggs continues to, not get the ball, or if teams continue to shut him down like they have, then I don't know if Buffalo's really got much to stand on when they come here to Kansas City.
No, Buffalo. It's a month away. They could look a lot better in a month. They're 5-4 right now.
They could also look worse.
Yeah, but like they're 5-4. I'll give them the benefit of now. They deserve credit for being a difficult opponent because they're 5-4 now. And last year at the same time, Cincinnati was 5-4. Cincinnati technically has a worse record right now, right? They're right in the same boat as Buffalo. And we're talking about them differently because Cincinnati's won 4 games in a row and Buffalo has looked bad. And neither of those things are wrong. But when everything kind of levels itself out, I'm still pretty sure that those are 2 of the 5 best teams in the AFC. That might speak to the weakness of the AFC, but the Bills have 2 games to get themselves right. The Broncos on Monday night this week and the Jets the following weekend. If for some reason they lose one of those 2 games, I'm probably with you, Q. Yeah, that sounds about right. But they do, you have to remember, the Bills do get a bye before the Chiefs, which is important. Like, we know how much extra time to prepare is important, even if it comes with the Philadelphia Eagles before. The problem with the Bills is they're a difficult regular season opponent, but there's a chance you might not see them in the postseason because they have 4 consecutive games against the Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, and Chargers, half of which are on the road. So, that, and then they still have Miami the last week of the season. So they have problems in their schedule versus what the Chiefs are looking at. I was looking at it as it compares to the rest of these because, hey, look, strength of schedule the rest of the way and all these things. A lot of this depends on what you actually think of the teams. Because if you look at strength of schedule the rest of the way, the Ravens are going to have one of the most difficult schedules remaining. That is the team that currently is your biggest problem for the number 1 seed. And they're your biggest problem for the number 1 seed because they're the only team you haven't beaten and don't have a chance to beat. Maybe Jacksonville can threaten you for the number 1 seed. You already beat them. Maybe Miami could have threatened you for the number 1 seed. You already took them down, right? So you don't have to think about them the same way. But I don't know. As much as I think the AFC North is a good division, and I do, and I think there's a lot of good teams, I just think they're better at the things and reasons why these other teams win these games. Like the Browns, the Steelers, they win these hideous 17-13 games, but the Ravens don't mind winning that way. And can win that way, and have proven as much as well. They lose to Cleveland, I guess, this weekend. Maybe I'll feel different in their schedules. Like, if I did the same thing for the Ravens and I was making the challenge of, hey, how many easy games do they have left and how many hard games they have left? Where do I put Cleveland? Like, right away, I'm in a problem. Is Cleveland, like, I wouldn't call it an easy game, but it doesn't deserve to be in hard either, right? It's Cleveland. They can't score. It's a divisional opponent, but you're at home. Like, that changes. Cincinnati, sure, right? At the Chargers, I gave that to the Chiefs as a difficult opponent. Okay, I'll include that. At Jacksonville, for sure. At the 49ers, for sure. At home against Miami, for sure. At home against the Steelers, same problem. Like, you can make an argument the Ravens have nothing but difficult games other than one against one against the Rams on the rest of their schedule. But it depends on how much you respect these teams like Pittsburgh and Cleveland. It depends on what you think about the AFC North before you can do that. When I really started to look at the schedule, I was having a hard time not coming up with a way that the Chiefs weren't going to be the number 1 seed. Because no matter how much respect you give to these teams or how many games they're going to win, it's hard not to imagine the Chiefs will have 13 or 14 wins at the end of it, and that another team in their schedule can do it. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll get to something that was said at the GM meetings about Kansas City Royals player Bobby Witt Jr., and the possibility of him saying here, and why I don't think that just doing that would be enough and why I think that's important. But yesterday I was gone. I apologize for being absent for the show. Gold ended up being sick, as you remember, on Wednesday, so he missed yesterday's show as well. Thanks to Binkley for filling in. I learned a very hard lesson yesterday. I was gone for 2 reasons. I had a doctor's appointment for my daughter, so I had to take her to that. And at the same time, it was my son's community helper day at school, where some people volunteered to teach him about either their passions or their career. Look, this could be excuse time, where I don't feel that the flyer they provided made it seem like I needed as many props as the other people who came to this thing had. Felt a little under prepared. That's on me. I should have known better that I was talking to a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds, that I probably should have had things to entertain them. I have a 5-year. That's on me. I won't even blame them for that. What I learned yesterday, and what was a very hard truth is, 4 and 5-year-olds are not impressed with radio work at all. They don't care. I thought I'd be able to get away with, look at me, talking to a microphone. Sometimes we're on TV. Look at these YouTube clips. You guys like YouTube, right? You're 5. Look at these YouTube clips that we do. They could not have cared less. My job was the least interesting out of every single person who spoke yesterday. There was there was one of my sons, like the mom in one of the classes. She was an electrician. She had like photos of the work and safety equipment. That was a winner. There was a cop. Well, I mean, he just turned on the lights to the cruiser. I lose there. I went down to the librarian who brought little books for them and had stickers. I'm done. Books are more interesting than radio. So I'm losing there too. The people from the dentist office, again, read a book about cleaning your teeth and then gave them all like Spider-Man toothbrushes. Another L for me. I thought the YouTube thing would save me. I figured every 5-year-old I've ever met nowadays has at least watched YouTube Kids, right? That would save me. And I just want you guys to know, absolutely not. I'm going to ask Nivens later. He's been in radio, he's got older kids. And Rob Collins, who's in TV. Will my kids ever will they ever think my job is cool? Or because, like, someone must think radio's kind of cool, right? You talk for a living. Quentin, you were a kid once. You were like, that seems like a cool career. At what age can I hope for some sort of turnover for that guy's job seems kind of neat? I showed them a picture of me standing next to Patrick Mahomes. After that was the only Chiefs player they could name, they didn't care. I was trying to brag to these children. No movement.
Should that say something about you as an individual that you were trying to brag to 5-year-olds?
Okay, so the reason why I was trying to brag, though, is because I just didn't have things to entertain them, right? I mean, what was I supposed to do? I didn't realize I was supposed to bring, like, an entire radio kit with me and let them do radio.
That's the other thing. In your defense...
That's on me!
In your defense, what were you supposed to bring as a prop? You wanted to take the soundboard from my producer's booth here or just snag a microphone?
In retrospect, I would have brought a USB mic. I would have showed them how to record their voices. In a do-over situation, man, I'd have brought like a Chiefs helmet for them to put on or a Royals helmet to put on. I texted Vinny Pasquantino last minute just to see if he'd FaceTime with the kids. See if like somebody else. Dude, what was I supposed to do? I was down hard. I didn't know how to solve the problem.
Were you like on a stage trying to talk to these kids?
Small groups. 3-4 kids at a time. They were rotating every 10 minutes. 7 different I was there for like an hour and a half, man. Floundering for an hour and a half. I remember doing radio for the first time was easier than this. Trying to talk for 4 straight hours on a radio show for the first time was easier than trying to impress a bunch of kids all at the same, like in small groups over and over again, man. I was sinking. I was like doing it was like doing stand-up with no audience. Dude, it's hard. Eventually I figured out after like the 3rd group, this is as close as I got to even making this thing work was, like I would ask him like, okay, what other careers have you learned about? All right, that's a couple of minutes. What kind of job do you want when you get older? Cool, a couple more minutes, right? Thinking 10 minutes here. We're breaking this down in chunks. Then I tried to start by asking them like, hey, what do your parents do? Turns out no 4 or 5-year-old knows what the hell their parents do.
That's fair.
I didn't realize, okay, they don't know what they do. And then I'm like, does my 5-year-old know what I do? No. 7, yes, but 5, no. It's like, okay, all right. So, all right, we're eating up a little bit of time. What's the next thing I could do? I'm dead serious. My last-ditch effort was, so I was showing them the YouTube videos. Like, I like YouTube. I like this person. Or I like Mario. And so what I had resorted to was letting the kids record videos of them doing impressions of people to show them how quickly I could turn it around. So in iMovie, I'd let a kid say, it's me, Mario. And that kid would say that, and I'd just stick Mario's face over and play it, and they'd all laugh. That was my last-ditch effort. That's all I had left in the bag.
You were like when you had to make a project in, college or whatever, and you had to read a certain paper limit or a time limit on your video where you were just like, you had an extra 45 seconds left on your project. And you're like, oh, 45 seconds, not that bad to fill. And then you have to count out 45 seconds and you realize it's an eternity. That's the panic move that you had.
I was down bad.
Except it was 10 minutes worth.
I was down bad. Vinny was on a flight, by the way. Someone said, did he come through? He was on a flight. He texted me later and said, sorry, man. That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. I was like, he didn't even put it that way. He's like, I'd have helped you out, but I was on a flight. It's like, damn. I needed the help so bad. By the way, I'm not even sure, like, Patrick Mahomes barely moved the needle. Unless if Vinny was going to be like slugging homers in the back of this FaceTime, I don't know if that was going to solve the problem either. I was just desperate and looking for answers. When we come back, speaking of baseball, there's been a lot of numbers floating around Bobby Witt Jr. here at the GM meetings. Let's talking about what's realistic with it and why, even if they got a deal done with Bobby, I'm telling you, that's not enough.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gant Asphalt and
Chiefs bye week. It is also Pete Sweeney's birthday. So he's joining us on his actual birthday. So hit him up on Twitter at PG Sweeney. Let him know you said happy birthday from Cody and Gold, you know? We'll make sure we tell him when he comes on the air, but it is Pete's actual birthday. I do not know how old he is.
Didn't Gold wish him a happy birthday like a week ago?
Yeah, I said it was way too premature. He's like, well, I'm not going to talk to him on his birthday. I'm like, you have his cell phone number. You are friends with Pete. You could presumably message him in this scenario and just tell him happy birthday today. Now, look, I assume that he will do that, Quentin. I assume he will, at some point, reach out, tell him happy birthday, but to this point so far, I guess not, you know?
Well, you know what happens when you assume.
We'll see. Someone says, over on the text line and talking about the conversation with the kids from Second said, dude, nobody thinks radio is interesting. Maybe if it was Nikolai Tesla and I can't remember what his name is, like Guglielmo or whatever, like Guillermo, Marconi, as in Marconi Awards. That's it. Sorry, buddy. It's like, yeah, I get it, man. I do.
I thought it was interesting.
But I mean, as you get older, there's a few people that are still tight end. But I'll be honest, even with like teenagers, how many am I going to win over? They want video to see. I understand. I'm talking to you from a radio. But I want a little bit about. That's why we stream the show on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. So no matter your age, no matter how you want to consume the show, you can catch the show. Don't forget, by the way, a week from Saturday, it'll be KU versus K-State in a massive Sunflower Showdown. Check it out at Jefferson's, voted favorite wings in KC by the Kansas City Star. Either their Lenexa or North Kansas City locations. Every single customer that walks through the door on that Saturday for the game will be entered for a chance for free wings for a year. Plus, I'll have $2 off all pitchers during the KU-KSU game at both locations. Let's sidestep here because we're going to talk to Pete about the Chiefs here in about 20 minutes and talk a little bit about what's going on with the Royals in the winter meetings. So obviously, first, they all caught some stomach bugs, so they got called early anyway. So I guess some of those typical offseason trade stuff. But look, there's a lot of truth that comes out of these things, even if they don't want to tell you the truth. For instance, they're reporting today that it doesn't make sense that the Padres would be able to hold on to Juan Soto. And then maybe they would be looking to trade him, recoup some of their expense into him, especially considering how many seemingly $300 to $400 million players are currently on their roster. Which brings up this Bobby Witt Jr. thing, because that I, for a long time, was starting to think, hey, pay Bobby and I can live my life. But the more I see that, the more that's just not enough. If you are gonna go for it, and you're going to sign Bobby Witt Jr. to a massive contract extension, the richest in your franchise history, which you should, then you better not stop there. Because there's really only two ways this contract extension can go for Bobby Witt Jr. He can sign a 6 or 7 year deal that'll buy up a couple of years after arbitration, but will still most certainly make him a free agent before the age of 30, which means he can still go get some other massive contract on the free agent market. Or they're going to convince him to do what some of these other players have done, and he's going to sign a 12 or 13 year deal, and it's going to be like $300 to $350 million versus like $200 to $220 to $230, a range I think the Royals would probably be more comfortable being in, and Bobby Witt Jr. honestly be more comfortable in. But if you're going to hand out that kind of money, then you better go for it. I'm not telling you to trade for Juan Soto and pay him $300 million too and go full San Diego Padres. But if this offseason shows a Bobby Witt Jr. contract, and I can't tell you everybody I've talked to is being 100% forthright or knows every piece of the detail, but in asking around, trying to get a sense, I think there's optimism. I think the Royals are optimistic that a deal between those two is going to get done. But that means you've got to treat every other offseason move you make this year like you're proving to Bobby Witt Jr. you are serious. That means pitching. That means corner outfielder. It means those positions. If you simply just give Bobby Witt Jr. a bunch of money and do nothing else, that's the same as paying Mike Sweeney a bunch of money and then doing nothing else to better yourselves. You're not going to go anywhere during that time. Someone says that would be cool, actually, though, if they traded for Juan Soto and paid him. I'm like,
yeah,
obviously. I'd also love it if they just signed Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
You know why? Because that would be, it's still a lot of money, but then you don't even have to give up draft, or you don't have to give up like prospects. You can just have him.
Yeah. I've got a couple of things that I think the Royals need to do this offseason. And I'm going to go through my little list here, and you let me know if this is the moves that you think would sort of back up the Bobby Witt Jr. signing. I agree with you. I do think you need to re-sign Bobby Witt Jr. I think that, one, just to keep a superstar talent on the team is the way you need to go. Two, I think it proves to some of the other guys on the team that if you work hard, if you become that guy, that you can earn money here in Kansas City, which really hasn't been something that's happened in the past. So I've got a couple things that I think that the Royals should do moving forward. And I know the text line's going to freak out when I say a couple of these things. One, I think it starts with trading Salvi to try and regain some prospects.
I don't think people are freaking out about that as much as they used to be, but okay.
I think that you need to do that. I know they were, during the trade deadline, they were talking to the Marlins. That was the reporting coming out, that the Marlins were interested. I think during the winter meetings, trading Salvi has to be on the table. I think you probably should trade Brady Singer. I just don't see him improving here in Kansas City, and I also think that he does have value on the trade market, and so you got to get what you can back from him. One of the biggest problems with Dayton Moore was that, and he talked about this openly, that he needed to be more transactional and that he held on to players too long. So I think those are the two big trades that you need to make. And you talked about the outfielder. I think they should go after a guy like Kevin Kiermaier, who signed a one-year deal last year with the Blue Jays for $9 million. I think that's within the range of the Royals. And you need to sign a pitcher to replace the innings that Zach Greinke had, because I don't see him coming
only
back.
Like 120 innings, so that's more than doable.
So if they were to do those five things, would you say that that's moving in the right direction to justify giving Bobby Witt Jr.
Yes,
an
that's
extension?
effort. That's effort. All of those things is effort. The question is whether or not they're willing to trade a guy like Brady Singer when they already don't have enough starting pitching. Which means if they trade Brady Singer, they have to replace him with somebody else. And who the hell is that somebody else? It is only free agency dollars that does that, or you're swapping one starting pitcher for another starting pitcher that maybe you believe in.
You know what happens in the NFL where, like, you trade, back in, like, 6th-round pick guys that you drafted 2 years ago and it didn't work out for you, and there's another team that has, like, a 6th-round pick guy that didn't work out for you, and you just swap them?
Yeah.
I feel like that's something Kansas City should look into. Look at your pitching, your bullpen guys or whatever, and maybe just see a new scenery would be better for you.
Yeah, it's Guthrie for Sanchez. I mean, I understand. Those things happen a lot in sports, and sometimes they go the way you want. Sometimes you get the better end of that deal. They're stuck because they know that this is their single biggest offseason in their franchise's history between the stadium deal and where they are currently winning. The thing about Bobby is that he can earn plenty of money here. And if you're like, well, but I was torn between like a stat the other day. Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the top 10 endorsers in all of baseball. So he makes a lot of money on the side doing endorsements, even on a bad team and in a small market by baseball standards. So he could either be encouraged and be like, well, I can make all the money I need to make here, right? This is his first big year, his first breakout year as a star. Or he could say, well, what if I was me, but I was in New York or I was in LA and I was in these other markets that drove me towards it. By all accounts, Bobby Witt Jr. likes playing here. Just give him the money. That's fine. Pay him as much as he wants. Just find other people to pay too, and let's see if we can, for once, see if you can do this thing in one single year rather than the other way around. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll talk to our guy Pete Sweeney over at Arrowhead Pride, the birthday boy himself. Will join us at 11 o'clock. But I think a lot of people were worried about the offense, and rightfully so. Everyone knows that, and that's the case. But I did a little bit of research to make you feel a little bit better about whether or not the Chiefs can win the Super Bowl with the offense as it currently plays. Yeah, that's right. I went to the Patriots. And I'll be honest, even though I called the Patriot way a fraud, and I definitely still feel that way, I think as Charles Robinson called it from Yahoo yesterday, rust, paint-covered rust or whatever, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it existed, but it doesn't mean the same thing, right? Okay, great, right? That makes sense. But the one thing you know about them is they won some Super Bowl because they had a great defense. So I looked it up. I looked up what were the worst offenses in the Tom Brady career and how often they did it. Look, I feel like we got to kind of toss that as rookie year. They're perfectly good offense,
fine.
but I
Yeah.
mean, let's throw that one out the window. They won the Super Bowl, but that was a Belichick Super Bowl, man. He held down the greatest show on turf. He shut down their offense. We know why they won that one. That was because of defense in a rookie year, Tom Brady. I went to the later years to find these things. There are two different times in which the Patriots ranked 7th and 10th in total offense and points per game. Right around that range, the Chiefs have been for a large majority this year and won the Super Bowls both times. They, in those years, ranked 1st and 2nd in points per game and were right around the ranking the Chiefs are now from a sacks perspective. Like, it's very simple math. Yes is the answer. And I think the biggest reason why you can win in these down offensive years, but with great defense, is because there will still call moments. Like, a defense itself doesn't win championships, in my opinion. Very rare. Super rare. Happened way more often in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. The reason why it happens less now is because you still do need an elite quarterback or a quarterback playing at an elite level in order to do it. But in those crunch times, just as long as they can put you in position, just as long as you can be the 1 seed, have home games, host the AFC title game, just as long as the offense doesn't hold you back from that, and you got to take it from the 7 seed, 6 seed, because this is the other part. New England, in both of those seasons I talked about, hosted the AFC title game. They didn't have to go on the road. They had a bye both times. One time is the 2 seed, one time is the 1. They had a bye both times. They hosted both playoff games. That's still what you need in order for this to work. You put too many problems on top of it, it doesn't. If you have to be a wild card team and beat a good team, then go on the road in the divisional round, and then go on the road again in the AFC title game, and then go to a neutral site Super Bowl. You're putting too many caveats on, can our defense hold up long enough for our offense to come through? But because of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, you won't have to go through those challenges too. You only need your defense to hold up for a little bit, and you only need to have a quarterback who shows up in the most important moments. And you have Patrick Mahomes. That's why the equation on this works. If this were just about any other team in the NFL, I would tell you that this is not a good strategy. That generally speaking, I wouldn't believe that that is the best system in place. And that instead, you should try to go elite level offense instead. Not like Miami, right? You don't have to be the 2018 Chiefs where you have absolutely no defense. But you'd rather do it the other way. It's a more successful path to winning a Super Bowl here recently. Because even go through the Super Bowl winners. And I know that the Chiefs have been in a lot of them, but the Rams were a great offense. The Chiefs were great offenses when they were winning. It's not that hard to backtrack. But they can do it because of these exact teams. Like, there is a model for which this works. And a lot of it is just keeping those systems in place. That's it. That's all you're asking for. And that if you can do that, you can still win a Super Bowl even with an offense that is, the 10th best.
Just be good enough.
I'm just, man. I know we're going to have to talk about it the rest of the way because it is the single most interesting talking point for the Chiefs because, they had an offseason plan a wide receiver and it's failing so bad. But God, it's just, some of it is a standard thing. And all I'm asking for now is the rest of the way for them to, I guess I've changed my mark, to be a top 8 offense. But that's because they have the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think anybody except Bink was talking about how this defense was going to be the best defense in the NFL. I think Bink was the only one at the station that was talking about how good this defense was going to be. I think the general consensus among Chiefs fans was this defense is going to be better. Look how good they were last year. They're so young, so many rookies. A lot of football fans believe in sort of the Madden ranking system where it's linear progression. You're going to get better the following year. And that's what's happened here in Kansas City with the defense. You're right with the offense and the wide receivers. I think that the Sky Moore experiment, I know some people want to throw the word bust around now. It's hard for me to do that on a guy that's
he's getting real close to that.
It's unfortunate that somebody that you drafted in the 2nd round, again, has sort of come up short. And to me, a lot of this is on Kadarius Toney's plate because the entire offseason, every time Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, anybody in the organization was asked, hey, what's your plan at wide receivers? It was like, Kadarius Toney can be a superstar. Look at Kadarius Toney. That's why we got him. We wanted him in the draft, but the Giants took him. We want Kadarius Toney. We went out and we got him. He's going to be that guy. and he hasn't been. So I think more blame should go to Kadarius Toney than on Sky Moore, because the Chiefs hyped him up to be, the next great player here in Kansas City, and he hasn't done anything close to that.
Look, I'm not saying Toney doesn't bear some blame on the wide receiver conversation, but they were talking about both guys like they were, that they were there. Speaking of wide receivers and ones that left, I want to play a piece of audio from Tyreek Hill on his podcast, because I think what's happening here is this is the worst taking blame on yourself audio maybe ever. He is trying to make it seem like, in my opinion, in this piece of audio, that he's like, that's on me. Because he says, right, he's like, I got to be better. While actively mentioning missed blocks, screw-ups from other people. There's no reason to mention the other screw-ups. You couldn't hold on to the ball. This is Tyreek Hill and the fumble he had that eventually obviously was returned for a touchdown by Brian Cook.
I've had a lot of support in my teammates, my coaches. I'm not going – and that's all I'm going to say on that comment. You feel me? Because we all know what happened. Happened. It's just not the timing of the play. The timing of the play wasn't it. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
So it's tough. Like it's a very touchy situation, man, because really I don't point fingers at nobody. My job is to play ball, let the players play, let the coaches coach, and just go out there and do my thing, man, and just still be supportive. At the end of the day, I got to hold on to the ball. That's just me. I don't care if the man's not blocked. That's my mindset. I don't care if I got 0.3 seconds to make a move. I still got to find a way to make him miss and hold on to the ball. That's just me. That's just my mindset. And, just going to move on from it. Yeah, it's Cedric Wilson's fault, though. Nah, shout out to my boy Sid, man.
It's like, let me listen to that. That's the same thing as a backhanded compliment. He's like, I don't like to put anything in, even though that guy wasn't blocked and I didn't have any time to make a move. And you're like, that sounds like a lot of excuses all wrapped up into one there, Tyreek. It's kind of what that sounds like to me. Sounds like you're blaming some others for all you had to do was hold on to it. The best part about this is there's a clip now. I retweeted it this morning. There's a clip because, of course, Tyreek Hill was mic'd up for it, right, for the NFL. Makes sense. Like 2 plays before, man. He's standing in the slot. He's like, all right, Tutu, you've never seen anyone like me. Get ready. And look, this is stuff that gets said on an NFL football field all the damn time. This is not an isolated comment. But to watch him be like, okay, Tutu, be ready. Come on, Trent. You've never seen someone play football like me before. Prepare yourself. To have him then get the ball stripped from Trent McDuffie, have it returned for a touchdown in the single biggest play of the Chiefs' season so far. Wow, chef's kiss.
You know what that little interview or podcast clip reminds me of in Talladega Nights, when Will Ferrell's character is like, with all due respect. And then he just says everything that, like, insulting the guy. And the guy's response is, you can't just say whatever you want when you say with all due respect. That's exactly what Tyreek Hill did. He's like, hey, it's on me. But really, it's on all of you guys for not being able to do your job. But I'll take blame for it.
Over on Twitter, someone said they think that maybe he was saying that he thought it was incomplete. And that he would like a little... I mean, that's tough, though, right? I mean, he had possession of the ball.
He made a football move. I mean, when he...
Look, I get it. That's a tough line because, like, the Chiefs got called for a fumble on a ball that I just don't think Blake Bell ever possessed a couple of weeks ago. Oh, man. But because you can never see the ball, it's hard to guess that. Like, Tyreek's standing back there. Maybe he does feel that way. But that's a lot of excuse-making for a guy who could just hold on to the football, who's been the best receiver in football, has been the best receiver all damn season long. And then he got not shut out, but by Tyreek standards, shut out.
He got
8 for 62 is shut out. Not by normal standards, but by Tyreek Hill standards, that's not what he's used to. I'll tell you right now, the Chiefs got tired of him. That's another reason why you should know that he's gone. They got tired of it. They got tired of the show, right? Someone said the same thing as you on Twitch, which is just the, with all due respect. With all due respect.
With all due respect, it's all your fault, but, just saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what it starts to feel like. When we come back here on Cody and Gold, Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride, he'll join us to talk to us during this Chiefs bye week.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Tune in to hear Andy Reid every Monday at noon, exclusively on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Join Yingling and Johnny's Tavern this November to support Loggers for Heroes. Join Johnny's Tavern to give back to local KC vets and register to win a Yingling prize pack, including a tailgate couch, large wooden Yingling bar sign, tickets to the Chiefs Christmas game, and so much more. Yingling, America's oldest brewery, is proud and thankful for Kansas City's servicemen and women. Visit any of your local Johnny's Taverns in the KC Metro to enter to win. This contest is powered by our friends at Yingling and 610 Sports.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
Get the home field advantage every time with Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Whether you're a student athlete working toward your championship dreams or your team's biggest fan, Fairfield by Marriott has everything you need to get ready for game day. From comfortable guest rooms to complimentary hot breakfast. Fairfield is part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels and official hotel partner of the NCAA. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your next game day stay.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Get the home field advantage every time with Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Whether you're a student athlete working toward your championship dreams or your team's biggest fan, Fairfield by Marriott has everything you need to get ready for game day. From comfortable guest rooms to complimentary hot breakfast. Fairfield is part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels and official hotel partner of the NCAA. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your next game day stay.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
There are few things more wonderful in life than intimacy. But when erectile dysfunction harms intimacy, it can have devastating effects on a relationship. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and I want you to know today that we can treat your ED and give you back the joy of loving without fear again. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating ED. And as a Permenic partner practice, we've successfully treated nearly 100,000 men across the nation. Unlike pop-up wave clinics or online pill pushers, we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations to address your specific medical situation. And our treatments have efficacy rates that are well over 90%, which means if you're like most guys, you won't have to deal with ED anymore. Beyond this, you could even last up to an hour or more and bring the joy of intimacy back to your relationship. So call us. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
This year, Staples wants everyone to have a happy Holla deal. That's right, Holla Deal. Staples Holla Deals are amazing savings on hot holiday tech. Great prices on laptops, game systems, earbuds, and more. And now at Staples, you can save up to $300 on select PCs. During Staples Holla Deals, it's not about the fa-la-la. It's about saving moo-la-la. Save up to $300 on select PCs today at Staples. Ends 11/11 in-store only. See associate for details.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Patrick Mahomes joins CDOT Mondays at 3:10. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Pete Sweeney. 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 It's a Friday at 11, which means we talk to our guy Pete Sweeney over at Arrowhead Pride. It just so happens to also be Pete Sweeney's birthday. Pete, how is the early birthday celebrations going?
So far, so good. I think I'm ready to stop at 35. 35 is a good round number. I don't need to have any more birthdays after today.
You like 35? That does sound good. Like my age, 39. That's no good. That's a no good age. You're sitting on the precipice of 40. It doesn't sound good coming off the tongue.
No, 35 is solid. I actually like the sound of 35 more than 34. Won't like 36. I can already tell that right now.
That's a guaranteed lock. So it's a Chiefs bye week, and it happens to land on your birthday, Pete. That feels like, are you just trying to shut away from the Chiefs for a little bit? Pretend like all their problems don't exist?
Well, the Chiefs shut down this week, too. As it happens, what Andy Reid typically does is he has the coaches work the first half of the week, kind of looking inside, what they self-scout. The players get the whole week off. I'm sure that you'll see players at their colleges. I hear one Chief maybe heading to Argentina. There's been some rumors about that. And then, they get a reset, and then, you get back to business on Monday with Andy Reid. So not much going on. If you're looking for Chiefs content, we put up our bye-week awards at arrowheadpride.com this week. And, a couple of them were obvious, like Rashee Rice, but some surprises, too, like defensive player and MVP. So check it out when you have a chance.
I think we're going to talk about it a little bit later on in the show, Pete, because we can talk about those awards here in just a second. For me, Rashee Rice is making it so that people do not realize how little they're getting out of the rest of the rookie class. Like Shamari Connor contributes. No one else is even a factor.
Right. Yeah, it's very different than last year. Last year was like the most incredible draft class we've maybe have seen from Brett Veach with just the contributors and how they looked like veterans, experienced players by the end of the year. And I think that was a major reason that the team was able to win a championship last year. Now those players are still young. I mean, they're still around. They're still on the team. They're contributing. But now you have to say second-year players and rookie contributors. And kudos to Rashee Rice. I mean, if you really look at the analytics on this thing, Puka in Los Angeles is doing well. Certainly Jordan Addison. But I think as far as, the rest of the rookie receivers go in the league, Rashee Rice is right there. Really, the analytics favor him. PFF loves Rashee Rice. And I tend to think we're going to see more of him featured, post-bye here. But you're right about the class. Much better, many more contributors last year.
Petey, over at Arrowhead Pride, you guys obviously did the voting. We did the same thing, right? You talk about who is the mid-season MVP for the Chiefs. I made my argument, and we did players only. I made my argument for Creed Humphrey being the most important Chief in the first half just because their offensive line play became more valuable and those things inside of it. Why is it? Were you one of the 9 people who voted for Spags?
Yeah, you can't quit. You can't quit Creed.
I
can't.
Creed
forever.
He's an important player.
You have a guy's phone number. You have to vote for him for every award. I think that's the rule. I think we broke our own rules. I in the past would have never allowed a coach to be voted the MVP. But this has been such a case and such a year in which one coach has mattered so much, and the Chiefs aren't 7-2 without this person, and they wouldn't even be close in my estimation. That's Steve Spagnuolo. I think you're probably teetering around 500 without the effort that he has had on this team. Not necessarily a good thing that the MVP is forcing you to name a coach as the MVP. But, again, the Chiefs will look to be better, I think, all around in the second half of the season. But it's just been a masterclass. And I actually think, and I've said this maybe on your show, I don't remember, but I actually think he might deserve a head coach look because of the way that you're seeing the NFL, kind of change here into a little bit heavier defense. You're seeing unders all over the place. Scoring is way down. I think we saw the McVay-Reed wave of coaches get hired, and now I think it's going to be the other way, where you're going to start to see some defensive head coaches hire. I know it didn't go well in St. Louis across the state for Steve Spagnuolo the last time, but that's a long time ago. I think if he has interest, he should at least get a few interviews by the end of this year because the Chiefs' defense has turned into probably the best in the league.
My thought on it is that if Dennis Allen deserved a second shot, why the hell wouldn't Steve Spagnuolo? Dennis Allen's first run went horribly wrong. And look, maybe just because Josh McDaniels got a second shot, literally anyone should, but I'm with you, Pete, to the point that but I just don't think it'll happen. His age, he's a defensive coach. I have a hard time imagining a team would still pull the trigger on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and a lot goes into that with the interview process and so on and so forth. But the way that Andy Reid builds it here is he takes care of the offense, and he pretty much lets the defensive coordinator be the quote-unquote defensive head coach. So not everybody's like that. I mean, there are other coaches around the league that I think have a heavier hand on both sides of the ball, but to me it's just been an outstanding showing. And really, I think if you look at where the Chiefs were in 2018. Remember how horrible that was with your pal Bob Sutton, Cody? And just where they've come from there. I mean, instantly the defense turned around, was able to win a championship, and now it's built up with the system to the point where it's among the best in the league. And I think if you asked us in 2018, hey, Pete, Cody, in 5 years from now, do you think the Chiefs could have the best defense in the league? We'd be like,
no,
hell no. And it's at least in the conversation this year, which is an incredible feat for Spagnuolo.
I think what also stands out to me is this comes back to my complaints about Tobe or whatever, or adjustments or those things is Spags for years. My biggest complaint with Spags was stop playing these old, slow veterans because you trust them. They are on a snap basis one of, if not the youngest defense in the entire NFL, Pete. So he's doing it in a way he was not willing to do it for years. And it turns out maybe more talented players, even if they are young on defense, is probably the better strategy.
Yeah, well, I mean, he can't play the guys if each kicks him off the team, right? Ben Neiman's no longer here. Sorensen's no longer here. Frank Clark even got shown the door. And so it's just a very young team. And he kind of has been forced to play these younger guys probably sooner than he would, be used to or would like. But there have been some exceptions. I don't think it's a hard rule that he won't break. I mean, I think very clearly early on last year, we knew that Trent McDuffie was special. And I think it got more maddening during the Thornhill Sorensen area where Sorensen was playing all these snaps. But that's a great point because not only is the defense from top to bottom really good, but they're really young. And I am curious to see they got some big decisions on that side of the ball coming up here in L'Jarius Sneed and Nick Bolton and Willie Gay certainly. And it's going to be tough to keep all these guys together, but you'd love to see them try because it's just been really fun to watch. It's been a different Chiefs team. right? Very different Chiefs team to watch. It's sometimes maddening, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But at the end of the day, I think we thought they would be something like 7-2. So it's been a weird way to get there, but they have the record that we thought they would at this point.
Pete, if they just fix the turnovers, is this offense fine enough? Like, I'm not going to try to be here and be like, are they a top 3 offense in the NFL? But if they just go back to a league average amount of turnovers as an offense versus second highest in the entire NFL, are we good as far as that's a good enough offense coupled with the defense, we're fine? Because I know they can't solve the wide receivers, right? They are who they are. But from a turnover perspective, that's something you can actually cure in a bye week.
Well, absolutely. And I've been kind of saying this all week on different shows. The Chiefs are top 3 on defense. That's good enough to win a championship as long as your offense is not the worst in the league. I mean, you look at the historic defenses that were defense first and won titles. I mean, you're probably looking at 16, 17, 18 offense. Going into this week, the Chiefs on a points per drive basis were 9th. I mean, they're still top 10. I know that we watch it, and we've watched in recent years this dazzling offense that puts up points, and it seems like it's seamlessly. And you compare it to this year, and it's just such a dud. But in the scope of the league, like this is a good weekend to watch some football around the league. I mean, the offense is bad just around the league in general, and so to be top 10, I think this team right now, if they played like they did, would be good enough to go on a run. But for what you're saying, if they clean up their own mistakes, I think 9th, on a points per drive, scored turns into maybe 5th. If you're talking about the number 1, number 2 defense and 5th best offense, I don't know who's beating you in the postseason. Someone would have to get really hot, catch you on a bad day, that type of thing. So, yeah, I don't think it's average now. Like, believe it or not, the Chiefs' offense is still above average, but I think it can be even better than that on the cusp of top 5 if they just clean up their own mistakes.
You obviously cover the other NFL teams. You host national NFL stuff with SB Nation as well, so you're familiar with it. I mean, this part of this is just chalking it up to defenses are up. I mean, right? I mean, this is the lowest scoring total through 9 games since 2007. We might just be in the defensive resurgence part, and the Chiefs look like they're particularly slogging through it due to a lack of wide receiver.
It's like the death of the big play, right? I put out a stat. I can't even remember the specifics. I don't have it in front of me, but essentially is what it says. Like, Patrick Mahomes used to throw a lot of long touchdowns, and he just hasn't been able to. And it just hasn't been Mahomes. It's been around the league. I think teams are saying to themselves, you are not going to beat us deep with the explosive play. And it's forcing quarterbacks to play within that intermediate. And it isn't just Mahomes. It's across the board. And it's not as fun to play in the intermediate, Cody. Touchdowns are fun. Long touchdowns are fun. Fantasy football swings are fun. There's many of those this year. And again, I think that plays into it. This Chiefs offense, probably is among the worst in the Patrick Mahomes era, if not the worst. But again, his worst, which is weird to say, is still top 10 in the NFL. So if they just improve their mistakes, I think if they lean into Rasheed a little bit more, you find out, you identify, like I put the weapons for the Chiefs. Kelsey, obviously, you can put Pacheco or Rice second and third. And then I think there needs to be somebody else that emerges that is another go-to guy beyond them. Clean up your mistakes. I think you're still looking at a really, really good Super Bowl contender, especially with the way the defense is playing.
Pete, speaking of the deep ball, Patrick Mahomes' stats this year on throws over 20 yards. He has 1 touchdown, 7 of his 8 interceptions. His passer rating lower than it's ever been by a mile. Some of that could be what you just mentioned, where the league is. What's the solution? I'm kind of open to the, hey, I kind of remember Rasheed Rice getting a bunch of jump balls 40 yards down the field in college. Want to try? Or what is the solution if you are going to try to push it downfield? Because I think teams are just going to get closer and closer to line of scrimmage against the Chiefs until they actually prove they can get an occasional deep ball.
Yeah, at this point, you got to go wing T. Just go back to the 1950s. And no, I don't.
Get a fullback back. Let's get another fullback back, Pete.
I think I understand that the Chiefs want to run the offense through Travis Kelce, but when you're playing formidable defenses right now, sometimes I think they're coming in with a plan. And then Kelsey gets tied up, and it's like, well, who's going to step up? Who do we have other plays for in this playbook? And I think it's drawing up plays to maximize what a Kadarius Toney can do. It's drawing up plays to maximize what a Rasheed Rice can do. You get him the ball quick, and some of those like dolphin-like looks where Tua gets the ball to these really fast guys, and you can see what Rice can do after the catch. I think it's just remembering that you have a really good running back. I mean, there were some games this year. I'm watching Isaiah Pacheco, and he looks like he has his vision improved. He looks like he has his patience improved. And he looks to me like when they get the ball to him, one of the best 5 backs in the NFL. I mean, I'm not I don't think I'm exaggerating there. When he's having a good day, I mean, he looks like that. And I think sometimes you look up at the score sheet, and he's got like 6 carries, and it's the third quarter. I mean, I think that kind of makes your offense kind of live in sludge a little bit. So it's a little bit of everything. I don't think there's a distinct certain thing that I could point to that's going to magically fix the offense. It's everything we're talking about. And if you see them take steps that way, it's only going to get better from there. And again, the defense is keeping you in games while you figure it out. And I just tend to think this offense with Reed and Mahomes, they're going to figure something out by the time we get to the postseason in 8 or 9 weeks here.
Do you think that that's an area in which they miss Eric Bieniemy? I'm not a fully blame Nagy guy, Pete. I'm sure there's things he could do, like you had mentioned, tighten the wide receiver rotation and all this other stuff. But I also think Eric Bieniemy he was a good check man for Andy, right? He would offer up unique play designs sometimes. I think he's responsible for some of the more creative plays the Chiefs have run. Do they miss Eric Bieniemy in moments like that? Just someone to be like, Andy, we can run it with Pacheco if we want to. And I know he's a pass-heavy coach too.
Yeah, and I always say this, no. And it's nothing against Eric Bieniemy and nothing against, all the guys that you want to mention, Brad Childress, Doug Peterson, Matt Nagy, whoever. It's Andy Reid's show. I know that this is a group think, and they allow the coaches to contribute and so on and so forth. And Eric Bieniemy was a big part of helping Andy Reid with the game plan, same thing that Matt Nagy does now. But at the end of the day, all the successes, all the failures should go to Andy Reid because he's the one that is finalizing the game plan, does the opening script. He's the one that calls the plays all game. And that's actually, why it had seemed like Eric Bieniemy was struggling to get an opportunity. I know there's other things at play there, but there's such a shadow with Andy Reid. And, when things are going bad, I think we want to blame anybody but Andy Reid because he's so damn good. And when things are going great, it's like, well, Andy Reid's great. You're not seeking a problem. But just like, we should celebrate him in the times that the offense is rolling. It looks like the best in the league. This is Andy Reid's show. And so, if you're trying to blame a coach, it's Reid. And he has to be better. And as we know, Cody, especially after losses, he would be the first one to tell us that.
He would. There's no doubt about that. I just didn't know if that's one of those areas that he says that every time. All right, how about Pete? I'm gonna give you a quick ranking. Right? Let's just let's give Rashee Rice the top spot. You tell me wide receivers 2, 3, and 4. Who will be the leading receivers in yardage in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think they really trust Justin Watson. I know that's not going to be a popular pick, but I'm going to put him too because I think he's a safe choice to get reps there. I think where you start to see snaps getting cut in is from Marquez Valdes-Scantling. At a certain point, you got to say to yourself, I know we're paying a guy a certain amount of money, but he's not living up to what we need. And that is going to come for me from a Sky Moore or a Kadarius Toney. Based upon the snaps recently, I'm gonna go. They're going to try to get Sky and continue to get Sky involved. I mean, you use a second-round draft pick on him. I think he's still developing. He flashed a little bit last game, and I think if I'm choosing between Marquez and Sky and Kadarius, so I can't trust to stay in the field, I would go Sky. I know that is probably something that makes fans cringe at this point, where it's probably Rice, Watson, and Moore to me that are the most reliable. But I just tend to think that that's the direction the Chiefs go in. I'm a little bit curious about this whole Kadarius Toney situation, and this is a little bit inside football, but it would have been great to have a press conference this past Monday. We didn't. It's the bye week, but Kadarius only had 7 snaps. And is this a by design, let's keep him healthy thing, or is he simply no longer in the plans of the Chiefs offense? That'll be something that I'll have to say for that Monday afternoon press conference, Cody, when we return after this Week 10 bye.
Pete, last important question before we let you get out of here and get back to your birthday celebrations at the perfect age, as you had said, 35 years old. Who is the sexier, Kelsey? Is it Jason or Travis?
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's Jason, right?
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got that bushy beard. I mean, he kind of looks like Paul Bunyan a little bit. Probably got that teddy bear vibe going on. Love Travis, right? Covered him my entire career here. But to me, some of the game day attire, I like when Jason just shows up in a t-shirt. It reminds me of what I would show up in. So maybe it's because I can relate more to Jason than Travis.
Fair enough. Pete, really appreciate the time, especially on your birthday. Go enjoy. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, Cody. Take care.
That's Pete Sweeney over at Arrowhead Pride. Obviously, you can catch his work over there as he is the editor-in-chief at Arrowhead Pride. Fine work as always from him. Glad to get his opinion on Jason or Travis Kelce. We had done that topic on Monday or Tuesday that Jason Kelce was up for sexiest sexiest man of the year, only to find out that Travis was sexiest athlete of the year. We didn't know that at the time, but it turned out they both ended up on the they both got a little bit of a profile. So kudos to them, Kudos to them for being able to both find some sort of place in it. And I did see him out in Chicago for the Amazon Prime stuff because that's about the Kelce doc, but it ended up being really funny stuff between the two of them over the course of that. And I love the podcast, obviously, across the board. And we appreciate Pete's time as always. In about an hour or so, we'll talk a little bit more about what Pete was talking about with the Steve Spagnuolo conversation about whether or not he deserves a portion of this. But old intern Quentin is back. Well, I was thinking maybe a little Q's. Quentin, you want to do a little Q's today?
I'm always up for a little Q's.
Okay, a little Q's today. Been a little while. Quentin's back. He's ready to go. I don't remember what music used to do for Q's.
I think I just played. I mean, I've got some music here. I think it's a little appropriate, but
okay.
I'm back. Let's go.
Been a little while.
I haven't done this in a little bit, but I've got some fun stories coming up. I like hockey. I know that Kansas City doesn't have an NHL team.
They don't.
But I do like watching some hockey. I like watching it on Hulu or whatever when it comes up on Wednesdays.
Who's your squad?
I watch basically whatever's on when I get home from work. I follow the Blackhawks a lot because my boss at my other job is a big Blackhawks fan, so it's convenient for me to be able to talk actual hockey with him instead of just throwing random crap at the wall.
Smart.
But there was a record broken last night where a record that had been held for almost 100 years. The last time the youngest player in NHL history was actually a Blackhawks player who scored 2 goals and 2 assists. And he is the youngest player since 1944 to score 2 goals and 2 assists. And he is only the third youngest by 3 weeks. So for all intents and purposes, he is the youngest player to accomplish this. There are a ton of young talent heading into the NHL right now.
That's that Connor Bedard kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know much about hockey, but I remember him getting drafted and it being a big deal.
Yeah. Hockey's great. If you like football and, you don't have anything else to do on Wednesday nights, just pop up the old NHL and just try and watch it. It's really fun. I think people here in Kansas City, if we had a team, would fall in love with it. That's why I'm hoping the Coyotes end up here in Kansas City.
I want the NBA instead of the NHL, but I, funny enough, think the NHL would do better here. It's just, if you've never seen an NHL game live, it's tremendous, right, in its own right. But it just feels like a sport also that you can just, succeed immediately. And, versus, this hockey is a lot like the NBA in the sense that is if you just happen to have the number 1 pick at the right time, you just happen to be the number 1 pick when Sidney Crosby's coming through or this Connor Bedard kid, well, then you're golden. You just matter immediately because you got the best young player in the entire sport. And hockey can be great at 18, 19, 20 years old sometimes. It's nuts.
Well, the crazy thing is, the Golden Knights were a recent expansion team.
Yeah,
and they've won
final immediately.
They won immediately. And I think it's because hockey recognizes that in order to build a fan base, or at least the best way to build a fan base, is to get a new team in a new city successful quickly. And so they allowed these teams to sort of scrounge around and get players as well as giving them top draft picks. And you're absolutely right about hockey. It's a lot like the NBA, where if you get this young superstar, and you can be a young superstar at 19, 20 years old, then it truly is a game changer just because there are so limited guys on the ice. The second thing that I want to talk about, I just want to talk about CJ Stroud for a minute because
how good he's been.
It's crazy. He's breaking all sorts of rookie records. Before the season started, how many people had prematurely counted the Texans out for really anything, not just a playoff run, but just being competitive at all in football? And they've come out, they're 500, but I think it's important to remember where a lot of people put them to start the season, and it is 100% because of CJ Stroud. He has come out, he had that crazy game earlier in the week where Baker Mayfield, made a comeback, and then CJ Stroud just went out there, iced out the game. Just fantastic by CJ Stroud, and I think he deserves every bit of credit for him being able to come out and do that. I had him as the number 1 quarterback in the draft. I didn't want somebody who, well, let's just be real, a baby quarterback being my number one overall pick with Bryce Young. But I give the Texans credit, really should go all the way to C.J. Stroud. And I'm so tired of these great quarterbacks coming to the AFC.
Yeah, it's like 7 or 8 now. Nobody seems to get the quarterback right in the NFC. Those guys end up being like mediocre to bad. Because Bryce Young, again, last night, he's getting outplayed by Tyler Bagent. I get it, man. He's got no talent. He's got no offensive line. The circumstances there aren't good. But people weren't like screaming to the rafters that Tank Dell and Nico Collins were future superstars and that instead C.J. Stroud is looking good. There was actually a really good, if you want to read more about his background, there's a really good article up at The Athletic today about C.J. Stroud, in which I had never really paid attention. Didn't realize his name was Coleridge. That's what the C in C.J. is, by the way. Did you know that?
I did not know that. It's one of those things where everybody calls him CJ.
Name. Coleridge? Man, that is a name. I would have no way I would have thought that. He's a third. They just kept naming their kids Coleridge.
Hey, got to be dedicated. Though, to me...
Tyson Bagent. Sorry, I can't even get his name right. It doesn't even matter. The quarterback last night for the... Can't even get the quarterback's name right for the Bears. He's outplaying Bryce Young.
Yeah. For going back to his name, tradition is just pure pressure by dead people. So I'm not so sure if I would, name a kid of mine or recommend anybody do it. But hey, if that's what you're going to do.
He's been the most fun quarterback, most fun rookie in the entire league. He has been incredible this entire time. But yeah, I am also tired of every single AFC team seemingly getting quarterback right. When we come back, we'll get you to the Chiefs' Red Half Hour. We'll talk to you a little bit about where the Chiefs are as far as state of mind going into the bye week. But there's one thing about their defense that you're not factoring in to how impressed you should be by what they're doing. I'll tell you what that is next.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Nate Taylor joins the guys in studio Tuesdays at 1 during the season, right here on 610 Sports Radio.
It's touchdown Kansas City when you sell your home to RexBuysKC.com. I am Mitch Holtz, voice of the Chiefs, and no company pays more than Rex, with instant cash offers and your money in as little as 7 days.
That's right, Mitch. I'm Rex, owner of RexBuysKC.com, your locally owned home buyer. We'll buy any house regardless of condition. Distressed or damaged homes, it doesn't matter. Call us now at 816-330-6000 for the best offer and instant cash.
Score a touchdown, Kansas City with Rex, and get a fair, honest deal. Facing divorce, bankruptcy, thousands in repair bills, needing to move fast, being foreclosed, or just wanting cash fast? Then contact Rex now to get your money in as little as 7 days.
We help homeowners solve their problems with options on how they can sell their home. We have no fees, no closing costs, no commissions, no open houses. We buy your house as is.
Sell your home today, worry and hassle-free, no matter what the condition, and get your money in as little as 7 days.
Call us right now at 816-330-6000 or go online to RexBuysKC.com and let us buy your home today.
Some of you have probably noticed we started video streaming our show as well on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. You name it. And one of the things we make sure looks good is the lighting. And one of those things that we have to be cognizant of is that we don't have the lights reflecting through Cody's glasses and showing up on camera. Fortunately, it's not something we got to worry about with mine because I don't wear glasses anymore. I don't wear contacts anymore. I've told you guys about the great staff at Dury Vision. Went in for SBK Advanced LASIK. I had a free consultation. 2 days later, I had my procedure that just took minutes. And then the next day I was driving into work, and now I see without contacts, without glasses. It is simply incredible. It's been the best decision I've ever made. And right now, don't forget, it's a great time to take advantage of open enrollment season. LASIK is an eligible expense under most of your flex spending and health savings accounts. So give Dury Vision a call at 913-491-3330 or just go online to DuryVision.com. Again, 913-491-3330. And tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
Did you know you could eat well but spend more time with the family this Thanksgiving? By doing what we do. That's let Hy-Vee do all of the work. Hy-Vee's holiday meal pack solutions are perfect for any size gathering, and you can suit to any taste. Options like succulent turkey, honey glazed spiral ham, or prime rib. A bunch of savory sides, rolls, and all kinds of desserts. And with the Hy-Vee holiday meal pack, it's just so simple. We pick up our meal the day before the holiday and then heat and serve on Thanksgiving Day. Quick, simple, and delicious. This holiday season, let Hy-Vee do the cooking while you take the credit.
Butter is only $2.98 at Hy-Vee. That's not a sale price. That's the price with the Hy-Vee Perks membership. And $298 is not just the price today or this week. It's the Perks price every day. With the Hy-Vee Perks membership, you can save on hundreds of products store-wide every time you shop and count on Perks prices to stay the same. So if you want to pay less for butter every day, sign up for Hy-Vee Perks. It's free and easy. Some restrictions apply.
Outdoor America with Tommy Bench, Saturday mornings on 610 Sports Radio at 5 a.m. and the Odyssey app. This week, Tommy answers your questions. Outdoor America, presented by Wholesale Batteries. The right battery the first time.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or biglou.com.
This Saturday and Sunday only at Old Navy. Get $12 flannels for the family. Grab your fall flannels for only $12. But hurry, it's only this Saturday and Sunday at Old Navy. Valid 11/11 and 12 select styles only.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. So minivans, sedans, JDMs, roll out. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. And with eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, bag boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys, bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
Oh, I love this restaurant. Glad we got a table quickly.
What does that sign say?
Caution, wet floor?
No, right next to it.
If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of serious consequences from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60. Huh, I didn't know that.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. RSV vaccines, including Pfizer's, are available. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Some intimate parts need the gentle, easy trim of a Gillette trimmer. And some need the closeness and comfort of a Gillette Intimate Razor. While others need a Gillette Anti-Chafe Stick. Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get, down there. Buy now.
Mostly sunny and cool, high today of 57.
Weather brought to you by Total Wine & More. With so many bottles to choose from, it's easy to find your favorite and new ones. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, always find what you love and love what you find only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly. B21.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Coming up in 30 minutes, our guy Jason Nivens from 98.9 The Rock. He'll join us, have a little fun with us from noon to 1. Our guy Rob Collins from Fox 4 joining us from 1 to 2. We're making some delicious J. Rieger cocktails, of course, for Club 610. It'll be kind of a light, easy Club 610 today. You know where, like, you're thinking about, you're trying to decide how much you want to go out? You're like, yeah, I can have a couple of drinks, I guess, you know? And then relax. We got to gear back up for some big holiday ones, maybe, you know?
Yeah. Well, I've already got plans for tonight, so, you know, this will be, we'll call it pre-gaming.
Pre-game? You got plans for tonight?
Yeah, pre-gaming.
Where are you going?
I'm actually going to the KU Texas Tech game tomorrow.
Oh,
and
so
I
you're
have
hitting Lawrence tonight.
So I have a friend that works for the university, and so we're both going to the game together. So I'm crashing at his place for tonight.
Which bars are you going to?
We haven't figured that out yet. We might do a little bar hopping. I actually haven't been to the Lawrence nightlife, so I'm kind of winging it here.
By the way, from the 816. Cody, no Alex, no Drew. That means more alcohol for you. Pour yourself a triple, buddy.
A triple?
A triple? I don't think
that has to be on TV later today.
I do, and I also have to get myself home, Can't be drinking triples at work, I don't think. I'd start with Nivens at noon and just work my way slowly towards it.
There you go.
Tell my wife to come pick me up. Hey, if you don't mind, could you come grab me from work today? Be great. We'll pick up the car later. Plus, Quentin likes one occasionally, even though there's no Drew. Quentin usually likes to have one of the drinks. From Jay Rigger, who wouldn't? We're going to go with a Negroni today, by the way. I don't know if you ever had one of those.
I've never had a Negroni.
That's what we're going with today. But this is the Chiefs Red Half Hour. So we're going to talk a little Chiefs. I will talk about what to expect for them out of the bye week coming up in just a minute. But there's something I had mentioned with Pete on the defense that people should be making a way bigger deal about where they're going, not just this year, but for the rest of, the run that this defense is going to have for at least the next several years, okay? The Chiefs are, if not the best defense in the NFL, which is the argument certainly I've been making, one of the best defenses in the entire league. A more than reasonable stance to take. Nobody's going to argue the other side of that. That in its own right is impressive, considering what we know about these teams and where they've been, etc. But if you read a most recent article over at The Ringer from Benjamin Solak, you will realize that there is one metric that makes them even more impressive and a great sign going forward. They are the youngest snap-adjusted defense in the league. And you're like, well, what's snap-adjusted mean? Okay, on average age, they're one of the 5 youngest defenses in the NFL. But based on the number of snaps taken by those young players, no one plays more young players in all of football than the Chiefs. Plain and simple. No one plays more snaps with young players in the entire NFL than the Chiefs. And they're not even incorporating the other young defensive players they played this year. So, they took Shamari Connor or Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Those players, and Connor's getting some, those players aren't even seeing the field as much as the other teams in the league. If you're wondering whether or not this can be a multi-year run for the Chiefs, the answer is absolutely. The youngest teams in the NFL, when you think about okay, where are they offensively? You would think that it would be the bad teams. And it is, right? Some of the youngest some of the youngest teams in the NFL from just age. Packers, Giants, Bears, Colts, Cardinals, right? Teams that have been bad or have been drafting at the high of the draft here recently, just based on age, right? Those are the youngest 5 defenses in the NFL.
That makes sense.
But based on the number of snaps they play, it's the Chiefs. They play their young players, are playing their young players more than any team in the NFL. The oldest teams, if you're curious, they're the ones you expect. Eagles, Broncos, 49ers, Raiders. Teams that had tried to do the rebuild thing, and then it kind of fell apart, and then the Saints. Or in cap hell going forward. It's like not only are they a great defensive unit, nobody plays their young players with, more snaps than them, which would, by the way, make you assume they'll get better. If you're asking yourself, hey, can the offense get better in the second half? You might be asking the wrong question. Can the defense get better? And in your mind, you're like, well, they're already maybe the best defense in the NFL this year, or they're second in points per game, or they're second in points per drive, or they're, same thing, points per play, right? They are one of the best defenses across the board. They're top 5 in sacks, whatever. They can get better because of who that they are playing. Karlaftis, McDuffie, Cook, Reed is a young, Justin Reed is still a young player by NFL standards. Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, these are players who play almost every single defensive snap or the important defensive snaps for this team. They can improve. That should terrify the rest of the league. That not only this year they have a chance for improvement, but that they're going to be young and cheap for years. If they're the youngest snap-adjusted defense in the NFL and they're already second best, what do you think that means for the next the other 8 games here? The second half of, next year, the year after that, they don't have to pay all these guys for a while. They'll have years to draft replacement players for some of these players. Years. Or they can just go all out on the offense next year. Have a top defense again because they'll all still be under contract, and then just sell out for offense next year, and then maybe have a top 2 offense to go with the top 2 defense. I know we want to worry about this year and what it matters for this year, and it can. But moving forward, this makes the Chiefs impossibly hard to stop.
You know what's more impressive about, the production you're getting from your young players is that defense is just so volatile in terms of level of play. Like, a defense can be really good one year and then fall back dramatically the next. Whereas offense, for the most part, is pretty consistent because if you have an elite quarterback, you're going to have a good offense year in and year out. But the defense is not like that. And to have so many young guys, we like to imagine that player progression is a lot like the Madden syndrome, where you're always getting better and better, but that's not necessarily true. So for all of these young guys to continuously get better shows good quality coaching, not just from Spagnuolo, but from each of these positional group players, and the fact that these players are willing to get better. And a guy like Trent McDuffie, who was already a really good corner his rookie year, didn't settle for just being really good. He continued to get better. And I think that a lot of the credit goes to the players as well as the coaching staff. And even Brett Veach, who continues to draft consistently well, especially last year. But even this year, maybe your guys aren't quote-unquote as good. But what this allows you to do, a guy like Felix Anudike-Uzomah, it allows you to kind of redshirt him a year. And it doesn't really matter because Karlaftis has worked out. Your free agent signing with Omenahu has worked out. So the good quality drafting allows you to take these big swings, and you don't necessarily get that fall off.
So the text line's asking, hey, what's your chance at, getting some of these guys back or being able to re-sign some of these? Okay, so next year they'll have to make some decisions, right? Drew Tranquill has been a really nice addition for this team, but he's on a 1-year deal, so maybe he's gone. Or Willie Gay, a young player who's performed well for you, right? Or L'Jarius Sneed, who's finally on the back of his deal. Or Mike Dana, who's still under the age of 26. These guys all contribute to that age portion of the guys who do it. But also realize that nobody I am listing is maybe the best player on the team at that position. Drew Tranquill coming into the year was their 4th linebacker. He might be their 3rd best linebacker or their 4th best linebacker, but I don't think he's better than Bolton. And I don't think he's better than Gay. And look, maybe they got to re-sign Gay, or maybe Tranquill's back because he's 28 and he's maybe a little cheaper to re-sign. L'Jarius Sneed, very good corner, incredibly effective. Trent McDuffie's better. Like, when I look across it, I worry they're not bringing everybody back. And they'll have no Chris Jones, hypothetically, right, if they don't bring him back. But for the young guys, they don't have to solve all those problems yet. Like, Nick Bolton's got a couple of years. Trent McDuffie's got a couple of years. Williams and Watson's got a couple of years. They got 1 more year left of Justin Reed under contract. Like, they've got some time after this one. They've got some time to find replacements for these players. What's been impressive is they were in a similar spot where they had a pretty good defense, especially one that was in the back half of the season. But they had to kind of replace it all in 1 year. Like, when they let Matthew go and they let all these guys go, they kind of had to fix their defense in a single one-off. And there was a question about whether or not they could do it. They had to get Karlaftis right, get McDuffie right, they had to kind of fix it all at once, and did in a single season, to the point that they're going to have some time to work on it. I had mentioned to Pete earlier, some of their rookie players aren't. Like, Rice has made you forget that they're not really getting contributions from the 2023 draft class. Right? Because you think Rashee Rice and you're like, we're good here. And Connor's been fine, right? There's no reason to think he's not going to be maybe an improved player as the season goes on. You're really not getting anything from anyone else. I'll be honest with you. Felix Anudike-Uzomah is not getting on the football field, and he's not going to get on the football field this year.
I don't think that's a bad thing, though.
Keandre Coburn's not been seen. Nick Jones got hurt. Right, maybe he was going to make the roster, but he got hurt, and then Connor, right? So, and then Wanye Morris, right? And that's the only offensive player they took in the entire draft. This year's draft class isn't even the reason why, but that's fine. You know why? Part of the reason they're not playing, like you mentioned with Anudike-Uzomah, and maybe this is the point that you were going to make or others have, which is the reason they don't need Felix Anudike-Uzomah to be good is they have the youngest snap-adjusted defense in the NFL. They don't need him to play great now. He is your Mike Dana replacement next year. He's part of the solution for how do we get sacks when these guys are gone. It is weird, though, because for as great as a draft as he had last year, this one looks
I think it's because last year's was so good.
That's part of it, but they've only got one guy contributing major snaps and one other who matters. The rest are non-factors, or in Keandre Coburn's case, off the team.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of Shamari Connor because I think he's the Snead replacement. And I know maybe the text line isn't going to like that, but I don't think that Snead should come back at the end of the year. I don't think he should be signed. I think Connor can replace him. And I know when we talk about Snead, a lot of it is look at his blitzing ability. To me, that's a scheme thing. And so as long as you can find a good athletic corner like Shamari Connor, who also played safety, I think that that's a Snead replacement right there. So I think you're right, though, in terms of FAU doesn't need to play because you've got a defensive line that is kind of already full. So you can sort of redshirt freshman him and have him improve. And so next year, when he can step up, the pressure is not on him. When they drafted Karlaftis, I was worried because you looked at Karlaftis and it's you have to produce. If this defense is going to be good, you have to produce. It's not like that this year. And so taking the pressure off, letting these guys learn, I think is the best way to build a team because instead of trying to replace a whole team all at once, you're playing whack-a-mole.
My argument for FAU is I don't like taking first-round picks who don't play. First-round picks are valuable. You shouldn't just be taking first-round picks and be it's cool if he doesn't play all year. What? They're a first-round pick. They should, more than anybody else, they should be on the field. I looked it up, by the way. Shamari Connor has 57 snaps for the team this year. That's a third of what Joshua Williams has, a quarter of what Jalen Watson has. This is why. Snead and McDuffie play every single snap, and then Watson and Williams pretty much share the responsibility of the people who have to get the third and fourth most snaps. There's no room for Connor. Again, I don't think generally speaking, I don't think it's a really bad thing that we have not seen much of the young players because we haven't had to see as much. You might be surprised to find out that Felix Anudike-Uzomah has almost double the snaps of Shamari Connor because his impact has felt more relevant to what we've seen, but also Felix's have gone down. They were playing him a little bit more early on as Chris Jones was getting healthy, and then they just started to sink those snaps, and they'll figure it out down the road. It also helps when Mike Dana has been way better, and then Charles Omenihu showed up. Turns out when Omenihu showed up, Felix Anudike-Uzomah snaps went down. These aren't surprising things, but it's also what, it's been able, I'm not worried about the draft class right now. As I wouldn't be as critical of it. I'd be more critical of it if this team was having a harder time.
If it were bad?
Yeah. If they were struggling on defense, they took 6 defensive players in the last draft. If they didn't have the second best defense, I'd probably be making a little more stink. Although I think you can make the argument that, are you sure you shouldn't have gone offense out of some of that, seeing how that's where you could have used more of the help? That's also a slightly different conversation, which leads me to just where we are in the bye anyway. We can talk more about this with Rob Collins or Jason Nivens, who are coming in here in just a little bit. But, for the rest of the season, this post-bye week, part of it is just I know that if they beat the Eagles, I don't know that I can come in here and have I don't know that I can make a reasonable argument that anything can prevent them from winning the Super Bowl, that it'll be the reason they lose. They beat Philly. They would have beaten 2 of the 3 best teams in the AFC and the best team in the NFC, and I'd have a real hard time coming in here telling you that they can't beat anybody. To me, the only reason right now, I always look for the reasons when the Chiefs right now are, all right, it's AFC title game. We're in Kansas City. We're used to that. I always go that far because that's how far it is. They're in overtime, that's the least far they go in any particular season. They've either been to the Super Bowl 3 times in the last 5 years or in overtime at home in the AFC title game.
It's crazy.
So that's penciled in. So it's overtime. It's the AFC title game. And something critical goes wrong that loses this team that game and costs them the chance to go back to the Super Bowl and defend their Super Bowl title. What is that imaginary thing? And normally, this time of year, I've got a list. Last year, this same time, I would have said, fumbled punt. Special teams, man, they were a mess. Couldn't field a punt to save their lives. Sky Moore was a horror show, good chunk of it. Butker was missing kicks. Special teams for sure. Turnovers, which were a problem pretty consistently throughout the year last year. Right? And then some of it was defensive questions. They were a good defensive team, but they weren't like this. So I thought, they let up a big play that cost him the shot. This year, to me, it's just like they don't get it's 3rd and 5 and no damn wide receiver can get open. That's it. That's the only thing I feel like is like that's it. That's what cost him. It was 3rd and 5 and it was the fourth quarter and they got the ball first. And when they do the all 22 long shot, literally every wide receiver has a defender standing right next to him, and we did it. And I would include in that short yardage, because I think that is partially a wide receiver thing. I think they're more successful in short yardage when they have guys they can throw to that they trust, because they are just they're gonna throw it sometimes on 3rd and 1. But that's it. I think when it comes down to it, I just feel like if there was something that was going to cost them their chance, I feel like it was going to be wide receiver. Someone says from the 903, obvious answer is botch 3rd and short.
Oh God,
like it's.
You know what? It
would be fitting. I'll give you that 913. It'd be fitting based on how I feel about this offense that they were in overtime in an AFC title game at home, and it's 3rd and 1 from the 50-yard line, and they can't get one damn yard.
I am so happy that they threw away into the trash can taken to the incinerator, and it's gone. The Belldozer play.
Oh, you're done with that one?
Ball to the tight end and trying to stop it. I'm so happy they stopped it. I don't understand, and this is probably a dead horse argument, but it's like you've got an interior offensive line. Can we just run the dang ball, please? But I can get off my high horse on using one of the best running backs you have and trying to run the ball up the middle.
Look, I've made that argument a million times. The money they spend on offensive line play is also like, what you doing? You got highest contract handed out offseason, one of the highest for right tackle ever, Jawan Taylor. You pay Joe Tooney the best, highest left guard money of all time. You spent a 2nd-round pick on Creed Humphrey. You value Trey Smith, right? Maybe you didn't put as much investment in him, but it's a pretty good investment. And that's like, are you sure you don't want to,
at least
run behind them to see what happens?
The interior offensive line, that's a running game offensive line. If let's just exclude the tackles for a second. Your 2 guards and your center are big guys that can move. Just if it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, you don't want to run the QB sneak. That's fine. Run the ball up the middle.
From the 913, by the way, I just want to correct you. From the 913, all I think about this when this dude talks is that he's a Bengals fan. Wrong guy. Drew, our typical producer, is out, the Cincinnati Bengals fan. Welcome Quentin, former intern Q. He's in, and he is not a Bengals fan.
I am not a Bengals fan.
I assume you're a Chiefs fan.
I am a Chiefs fan.
You grew up in Kansas City,
yes.
So
yes.
It's going to make an assumption.
If I was not a Chiefs fan, I would be disowned by my parents. So,
well, there you go. Let's make it easy. We mentioned 3rd and short, so why don't we make this, or I mentioned 3rd and 5. How about with the 5th caller? If you're the 5th caller right now, 913-586-7610, you can win a large specialty pizza from The Other Place, thanks to our friends over at The Other Place. We do this every Friday here on Cody and Gold, typically during the Chiefs Red Half Hour. So if you're just caller number 5, 913-586-7610, we'll get you a large specialty pizza courtesy of our friends over at The Other Place. I understand if it's not that, that's it. And most people are calling for the same thing. Please, 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 please find some way to get Isaiah Pacheco the ball. I assume that this bye week is going to be huge for Andy, and looking at the things that they really do well or don't do well. And once he can kind of diagnose that situation, he will start to catalog the things he's willing to do. Yeah, throw the bell, those are stuff out the window. But, God, that aerial shot from last week, because the text line's asking for the QB sneak, which I've made a strong argument for forever. Because, they weren't running a QB sneak when they were still running, sprint out options with Mahomes, which is insane. Options. He might actually get hit in an option play, and they wouldn't run a QB sneak. Go back, do yourself a favor, and on that 3rd and 1 that they threw on that Andy was like, you guys would be mad if I passed. Look at how easy the QB sneak would have been. They had no one in the middle. They weren't even trying to pretend about the possibility of a QB sneak. They were not worried, not even a little bit, about Kansas City doing it, which to me means I hope it's a sneak attack in a Super Bowl game when they desperately need 1 yard. But the fact that teams don't even think it's plausible tells you all you need to know about how often the Chiefs are going to do it. When we come back, our guy Jason Nivens from 98.9 The Rock, he'll join us. We'll talk more Chiefs, Talk a little about the stadium stuff. We'll get into a little bit of everything with our guy Jason Nivens coming up next.
Cody and Gold.
Last and probably most important question. Are, in fact, all opinions like buttholes?
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, there's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus in President State where lawful to wager. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. First online real money wager only $5 pregame money line wager required. First online real money wager only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700 visit KSGamblingHelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Help is here. Visit gamblinghelpma.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
Old Shawnee Pizza has expanded to the Crossroads with their OSP Express. Go to ospexp.com to order and use any third-party delivery system. Located in the Crossroads food stop at 16th and Campbell. Go to ospexp.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza, now 3 locations.
Is your payment too much or your interest rate too high? I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit, and it's time to switch and save.
Switch and save your way at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Get a low sign then drive lease and pay $0 down and $0 next month. Or switch your rate and get as low as 3.9% for 72 months. Or save by getting $1,000 more for your trade.
Don't miss out. Switch and save at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Financing through VCI OAC.
If you or someone you know is suicidal or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides connection to free confidential support. There is hope. The Lifeline works. For 24/7 support, just call, text, or chat 988. Sponsored by ComCare and Rediscover. The health of your home starts at the foundation. Here's James and Josiah of American Topsoil.
A wet basement can be a nightmare for homeowners. Prevent it by adding topsoil around your foundation.
If poor drainage is ignored or left unchecked, this can allow water to flow inward toward your foundation, potentially causing dangerous cracks and leaks.
Guys, the message is adding topsoil now can prevent big foundation problems.
That's right. So protect your home and give yourself peace of mind with this easy solution.
You can be confident knowing you'll only pay for the amount of soil you actually need. Call us at American Topsoil, 913-888-SOIL.
American Topsoil, 30 years and 4 generations of great topsoil for landscaping, gardening, and foundation preservation. With locations in Olathe and KC Mo. Nutrient-rich organic topsoil delivered with their power wheelbarrow service right where you need it. Call 913-888-SOIL or online at americantopsoil.com. Great topsoil, great service. American Topsoil.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-217-1155. That's 800-217-1155. 800-217-1155.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at bluekc.com.
They say imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but imitations might not be so great when it comes to your health. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction, low testosterone, or other male sexual health issues, Heartland Men's Health is where you should be. Our physician-directed treatment protocols are second to none. Promenic Partner Practices have successfully treated nearly 100,000 men across the nation, and unlike single-solution clinics or online pill sellers, we offer comprehensive treatment options that can be effective in well over 90% of cases. Truly, if you're like most guys, you'll get your sex life back. And if you have low testosterone, the low T treatments we provide can help improve sleep, increase your energy, boost gains in the gym, and give you a higher sex drive. For many men, they're a game changer. So don't deal with limitations of imitations. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Team, it's snowing again tomorrow. They're predicting 2 to 3 feet.
'Tis the overtime season for Frank snowplows.
Kelly, can you take another shift?
Let it snow. Quality driver applicants.
Hey guys, know anybody else with a D license?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Subscribe to the 610 Sports KC YouTube page for exclusive video content from Cody and Gold on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs and your home for Royals baseball. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Our guy Jason Nivens from 98.9 The Rock. You can catch him in afternoons over there. Joining us now at noon. You personally got to choose your song.
I did. He asked me, he said, what's a good bumper song? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, pick it. And I just said, Motorhead, Ace of Spades. That's like a go-to every time, I think, no matter what, especially in the world of rock and roll. And I got a great photo from me and meeting Lemmy years ago. And, yeah, that dude was something else, man. But Motorhead, that was, so here's a little story for you, Cody. When my son was in utero, we were getting like the checkout and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
sure.
the nurse is like, I'm having a hard time like getting him to like move around. Can like you guys got a song to help out with that? And I was like, hold on. Put on Ace of Spades. Oh. And she was like, oh my God, he's moving. Well, it's moving. It's going pretty fast. And I was like, yeah, it'll do that to you. So
that's that song.
It's sort of the template for my son's entire existence ever since.
How old are your kids?
My daughter will be 2 in 12 days, and then my son will be 6 in February. And then my stepdaughter just turned 15 back in September.
I was going to ask, so like your kids are the same age as mine.
Yeah.
Well, not quite, but like, in that
The
same
range.
ballpark,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I went to go talk to my kids' preschool the other day because they did Community Helper Day. So just tell them about radio. They could
Care
not
less.
care
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
my industry at all. I was losing to the librarian, the police officer, the electrician. My job was the least interesting thing I could have possibly been talking to them about. I even tried to be like, hey, I do videos and we're on YouTube sometimes. Crickets.
Nothing.
Crickets.
I did.
Couldn't move it.
For a few years, I would go out to one of the high schools on the Missouri side, and I would do like a career day out there, and it was always that was polarizing because some of the kids were really interested and intrigued, and you can tell hanging on every word, and other ones were just like,
cool story, man.
Yeah, and you're like, wow.
Is that just teenagers, or is there a job that is interesting to like you?
No, I think.
Is there a job that's universally interesting other than like astronaut, or are they like kind of half bored with that too?
I just think teenagers. Everything in the teenage world doesn't matter until it matters to them. I can attest to this from firsthand experience. Like my wife had been trying to tell our oldest, something about personal hygiene. I don't remember what it was. Something with like, don't go to bed with your hair wet at night because it can cause dandruff and blah, 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 blah. So for years, my wife has been telling our oldest this. Years. And then the other day, she's like, I just saw an article. Which means probably like watched it on something.
Sure.
Right?
Watched it, TikTok.
Because like in our brain, I'm like, well, we read articles, we watch videos. But she's like, I just saw an article and it said, don't go to bed with your hair wet at night. My wife's like,
yeah.
I've been telling you for years. And I was like, babe, you just gotta let it go.
Just be glad they found it now. Be like,
Yeah.
Cool.
She's like, you should also brush your teeth and floss too, right? Like, did you see an article? Did you see an article about that as well?
They're not even writing articles about that anymore. It's just general common knowledge.
Not for the teenagers, man.
Sounds like you need to passive aggressively start slipping articles and text messages and.
No, because
they'll not listen to it from you.
Let me tell you,
it's never going to be you that convinces them.
No, never. Because the same thing. I was like, for the longest time, she used to be a ferocious reader, right? Our oldest. And she's big into anime and stuff like that. So I found like a cool book. I was getting some books at like the store or whatever. And I was like, I was half price books or whatever. And I was like, let me get her an anime book. Hasn't cracked it at all. And I'm like, I thought you used to like love that stuff. And she's like, oh, I do. I'm like, you going to read it? Yeah. When? I don't know. Which is the thing you hate the most from teenagers.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, way to really look forward to that. I
Yeah,
guess.
buddy, get ready. I'm I'm ironing out all of it now, but I know when the boy and the gal come up, they're already hellions. Like my daughter's a siren. Like she screams so loud it pierces your ears. We all carry in my bag. It's in my office. I have the
earplugs,
orange ones. We all do. We bought a pack of 50 of them. You got to. Because she is so loud.
That's insane.
Not even two.
My thing is because my daughter is in dance.
Okay.
And it's in a small studio, so they all kind of hang out together.
Yeah.
She picks up a lot of the nomenclature from the older, because there's plenty of older girls.
Sure.
There's girls who are like 13, 15, 17. The other day she hit me with a girl, and I was like, get out of here. No way.
My son probably swears the most of anybody in the house.
And he's 6?
He will be 6. Ever since he's been talking, he's been swearing.
Yeah.
And never once has he not hit the mark. It's always been, always.
Right time?
Every single time.
Yeah, that happens eventually.
So you're just like, well.
I was never good about watching it. My kids, the older one, she wants to not ever be in trouble for anything ever.
Sure.
So she would never. But she also knows the things that we say or that the things you can't.
Right.
Because we got into a thing back and forth, maybe and then we'll talk some cheese football.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We went into this thing back and forth for a minute because she loves listening to music. It's a huge part of what she does. She just listens to music all the time.
Right.
And I caught her listening to it, and I give her kind of free reign, right? She has access to Spotify. It's not an age limit or whatever.
Yeah.
So if one curse word's in a song, so what? I'm not going to be the person who polices books or music for the most part.
Yeah.
My parents never did.
Right.
I think it's a silly thing to police for the most part, so I just kind of let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But she was listening to Beyonce's Cuff It. And if you haven't heard that song,
I haven't. No.
It is not appropriate for a 6-year-old.
Okay.
First, it's very sexual in nature, just for starters.
Yeah.
Just the theme of the song, but then the lyrics also are. So I was listening to it, I was like, oh, damn. Nah, you can't listen to this.
Yeah.
So we got to put...
that makes her want to listen to it more.
So this is no good. So I was just like, hey, we can't listen to this song anymore. Because she's a very good reader, so she likes to read the lyrics and the songs and all that. So I was like, okay. She said, what if I won't read it. And I won't sing it. I'll just dance. And I was like,
oh boy.
I appreciate the effort. I won't read the words and I won't sing them out loud.
Yeah.
Can I just keep listening to this song? And you're like, no.
Yeah. So the boy's
sorry.
The boy's neurospicy. He's neurodivergent. So that makes it a whole nother level of trying to
navigate police it.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things that you're just not he's a genius. He's super smart. He's high vocabulary. So it's a lot of negotiations with an almost 6-year-old, which you never. I had no idea. I had my kids late in life, so it's been a whole learning process for me. But I look back on it, I'm like, I'm probably pretty lucky, and so are they that I didn't have kids in my 30s. Although I was raising a kid because of my stepdaughter, but still Yeah.
More patient with it now.
Yeah. But and people that are listening know, there's a way that you get teenagered. And sometimes it's like a noun, it's a verb, it's an adjective. You're not really sure. And you don't even know how to describe it. You're just like, man, I just got teenagered right now. Like I just totally got teenagered right now.
Great time to pitch an event I'm working next. I'm emceeing an event for the second year in a row called it's for the Aiden Project. They deal with kids who are on the spectrum, but kind of between the cracks. Typically, if you're on the spectrum, if you're really high on the spectrum, there's a lot of resources available for you and systems in place. Their son was diagnosed on the spectrum, but low enough that like some of the insurance needs wouldn't cover it.
That's where I'm at.
So their entire organization is designed to help kids who would normally slip through the cracks of being on the spectrum.
Oh, that's interesting. Where's this at?
They do a Night in the Stars. It's at the, this year it's at the Abbott event space.
Sure, I know that's in my neighborhood.
But if you're like, hey, how do we support it? One of the ways that I do every year, like I MC the event and we go through and there's silent auction items, which you can find online later on as we get closer to the event. But they also just do like the golden ticket promotion where they offer like, hey, you get a choice of one of these 3 awesome vacations. And they only sell 150 tickets to it, so it's a 100 and 100. It's a 1 in 150 shot, no matter how you do it. So if anyone's looking, there's an opportunity to do it. Look up the Aiden Project, AIDAN Project. Get a chance to support that.
AIDAN.
Yep, and I can send you the link as well.
Yeah,
but this year the event's at the Abbott.
Yeah, I mean that's walking distance from where I live.
So it's one of these years we'll get you out for it as well.
Yeah, I would love to. Know
I have
more
a table
about
for 10 this year, but it's already speaking for Pete
I'm
Sweeney and
sure.
3. He requested
sure.
2 extra seats.
Damn.
2 seats wasn't good enough. Pete asked for 4 this year. So I got to give 4 of my 10 seats to Pete Sweeney. That's all right. He joined me on my birthday, so I'll let it go.
Okay.
The Chiefs, they're in an interesting spot here, Nivens, because the way I view them going forward is, like, if they beat the Eagles next week, can I reasonably come on this show and be like, there's real problems?
And lament the wide receiver issue, sure.
I mean, look, I can mention that it's still something that holds them back in a way. But at that point, they would have beaten Miami, a fellow 6-2 team at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, a currently 6-2 team. They would have beaten the best team in the NFC. They'd be the defending Super Bowl champions. How can I tell you wide receiver is going to be the thing, or is the thing that's really holding them back fundamentally?
Right.
If they go out and beat every team that they can on their schedule, that is one of the better teams in the league.
My boss and I were joking about this on Monday after the game in Germany, the first Chiefs game we watched where we didn't drink during it. And there was a moment when I was like, I think I'm going to go down to my neighborhood pub at halftime. But I was like, it's not quite 9 o'clock in the morning, and I don't think my family would like me coming back up half cocked at 10, like
10 a.m.
Yeah, days wasted if you're not, babe. But one of the things that I did notice about that game, and I don't know if you discussed this or not, was I think you really saw a step up from Rice to like, okay, this guy might end up being like...
He's their most consistent receiver. There's no doubt.
And did we kind of see the heir apparent to Kelsey and how Noah Gray did? Because he pulled down some passes and looked really good to where if you are going to try and take out Kelsey, if you will, and you have a 2 tight end set up, you can trust this guy. Like, I think the Belldozer is great for, like, blocking and short yardage stuff, like blocking, but I don't know if we're trusting him.
Literally just blocking. That's like what I'm doing.
Like, maybe that guy is a fullback now, right? But, like, you look at Gray and you go, this guy can seem to find places to get open and be a reliable outlet for Mahomes. So, are we lacking, say, a sexy number 1? Probably. But if we're getting the job done, and I was thinking about this when I was heading back home from this morning, and you were discussing the Chiefs and all this, like we're sitting here really trying to break down the fact that we're a 6-2 team,
7-2 after the Miami game,
7-2 team. Like we are 7-2. We lost that Broncos game, and I think we didn't.
It put us in the place for a minute.
It was nice. It was a nice comeuppance, right? And then we also, like the first game, obviously, I don't think took that as seriously as we should. It was only a loss by 1, where the Broncos was just an abysmal performance. But we're 7-2, and we're got arguably one of the best defenses quietly in the league. That like, if defense wins championships, I think we're doing okay, right?
I will say the thing that's interesting, like Noah Gray's never going to be Travis Kelce because that's impossible.
Right? Yeah.
What I do think is possible coming out of the break is they go back to that 12 personnel stuff that they had run a couple of years ago. And if you don't have the wide receivers, then 2 tight end sets should become a lot more normal for you. Make these teams go more
feed 10.
linebacker
And
heavy.
feed 10.
Yeah.
Feed 10.
Big packages,
yeah.
more running, Noah Gray out on more routes, because he deserves as much opportunity as any of the wide receivers outside of Rashee Rice right now.
Yeah.
Because he's as effective as any of those wide receivers.
I was super impressed by what I saw with him going. Like, I knew that he was a pretty talented cat. Like, you can see that in him. And yeah, he's in the, obviously next to Mahomes, the biggest shadow on offense, right? And Kelsey. But he's showing up and he's showing out. And I think that's something important to look at. Like, I know we all wanted KT just to be the guy, right? And Tony.
Yeah, I wanted him or Sky more to step up, but that's probably not going to happen.
But Sky also did. I mean, he did pull
They
down.
cut his snaps way down, but he was more effective in those snaps.
Yeah, like I felt like, I think we all talked about this last year. Sky Moore's confidence got trampled on when they put him back as a returner, and there's so many fumbles back there.
Yeah, it was bad.
Then you saw him really show out, and well, it was show out. I mean, he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. I don't know if I call it showing out, but
that was his only catch.
But that was a great thing for him to, I think, go end the season on a high note, right?
Yeah. People latched onto that thinking that was going to be the thing that just like cured all problems.
Yeah, but I still think that he needs a little. And I mean, and granted, like you say, like a guy needs a little more time, you know, and you kind of hope for the best by year 2. But you know, I mean, it kind of goes back to, like, think about like the early rock and roll days when they were making albums, right? Like, bands would put out 2, 3, 4 albums before they finally broke through, right? And trying to draw a comparison, like maybe Moore just needs just a little more time, a couple more albums out there before he finally breaks through.
A little more work.
Before he finally breaks through. But he's only what, a year and a half in the league? I mean, that's like,
he's still a young player.
He's still a young kid. Like, your kid is barely walking in a year and a half. You're not gonna be like, get up and run, you little bastard. Come on, you know.
My kid had a broken leg by the time they were a year and a half. It's not that I don't think there's any chance of it. It's just the percentage chance of it has gone so far down for me, where I have a hard time imagining, yeah, for sure, that's going to be the case. By the way, someone on the text line said, back in 2009, bartended at Angels Rock Bar, so I couldn't have seen Nivens having kids. Glad you had him later in life.
Me too. Yeah.
2009.
Yeah.
Angels Rock Bar. That's not
so
peak Nivens.
That would have happened. That would have probably been the time frame when I was on the beach in radio, because I was doing nights down the hall, and then. Corporate came through and they did their riffs reduction in force, which seems to happen just about every year. And I got ousted from nights, and then in the interim, I was doing odd jobs here or there. I would sometimes spin at Angels, and then they brought me back to do afternoon drive, and that's where I've landed since then. But yeah, those 2009 Angel Rock Bar days, that was, boy howdy, that was a good time. That was a good time. Yeah, I was a big
industry we're in, huh?
Yeah. I remember.
It's fun for a while.
Yeah, I remember seeing Mahomes his freshman season out. Like, he walked past me at Angels, and I was like, oh yeah, look at that, that's the kid.
It's completely different. I always describe, like, people like how quickly it can change in the NFL. I was like working an event. I was just like, you know, like, it was a radio thing.
Yeah.
I was just there at the same time Patrick Mahomes was doing a signing at a Hy-Vee. For Coke. And it was sponsored by Coca-Cola.
Right.
It was like, I was just like hanging out because, like, you know, it's just like being on a remote, but there was only like 30 minutes of radio to do. And then it was just like hanging out. First off, he signed for 3 hours.
Wow.
Which I don't even know what it would cost to convince Mahomes to show up to an event for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But like mortgage your house.
Right. Yeah.
And he signed pretty much for like an hour straight, right? People were there, long line, you know, he's still the big, and then he just kind of hung out. We talked Texas Tech basketball for the other 2 hours.
That's
so like, it would be nothing like that.
Same thing years before. I was at.
He's like 9 jerseys for me if I would have asked him while I was sitting there.
I remember I was also at Oak Park Mall years ago, and I walked out of some store and I looked at this super tall dude, and I was like, "Hey," and he goes, "Hey," huh? And I walked away. I was like, that's that Tony Gonzalez guy they just drafted. And now look at him, right? Like, you know,
a little different.
Yeah, you're like, God, man, like, I should have been like, hey, you ever need anything, KC, I'm your man.
It was funny you mentioned the band stuff because I swear Grayson and I, who works,
if
you don't listen to Grayson, he's over on KMBZ where Nivens also fills in on occasion.
Yep, yeah.
We were talking before because he was listening to like an old friend's band, and he was like, these guys should have been better.
Yeah.
Which I imagine happens in music all the time because there's a lot of really talented people whose stuff never got heard. And I think he was surprised to find out that when I was like 19. I had a friend who loved music and again wasn't a musician. I liked music just like anybody liked music. I went to a lot of concerts because I was 17, 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, that's what you do.
But he was determined to like help artists. So he had put all of his things together and he had started his own record label that was just like him and me and one other friend essentially running it. And we used to go in different parts of Missouri and listen to bands.
Yeah.
And eventually signed too. Like I'm credited as a person
signed a band? Yes.
In like a CD jacket.
Yes.
And it's funny because like when he was describing, I was like, at that time I listened to a lot of like punk music, pop punk. Blink-182 is the band of my youth probably, but I listened to a lot of people who were in that same vein.
Okay. Pop punk. I like the way you because there's punk to me. I'm like, oh, The Clash, Ramones, Sex Pistols.
Pop punk. Like early 2000s.
Fall Out Boy.
Newfound Glory.
Yellow Card.
I saw Yellow Card or Good Charlotte.
Good Charlotte. Yeah. Sum 41.
that run of 2000s pop punk that existed.
Yeah.
When I saw
really radio friendly.
And then where you probably like dipped your toe in some of that getting a little more screamo punk. Mm-hmm. Right, where you were like, it was like burgeoning on that.
Yeah.
And so we went down and we had signed to 2 bands at that time. It was the only 2 the record label ever signed.
Okay.
And it was just like, but I was convinced at listening to I don't think they even existed as a band. We tried to Google them and a couple of their songs were on YouTube with like 9 views.
Yeah.
But I was convinced one of those songs sounded exactly like the type of music I was very into at that time. And I was like, if anybody had ever just heard this band once, they'll like it like I do.
It's
I was convinced.
When you see your name in liner notes, it's exciting.
Are you in a couple of liner notes?
Yeah. So it's exciting. Like when you're like, yeah, look at that. All right.
Let's get back into it. I'm always a businessman on this. Me and you, Nivens, will start scouting. We'll sign one band. Just a record label between the two of us. We can get an airplay.
It's got to be.
They can be the bumper music on Cody and Gold for 6 months for all I care.
It's got to be weirder the better, right? So think like King,
I want you guys to have like instruments that have no business. I want you to be playing that like frog thong metal thing as like a main instrument in your band.
Think the roots of like Captain Beefheart. Think some of the early Tom Waits stuff. Go with like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. There's also a band that's coming to town that a friend of mine told me about. I'm looking it up on my phone right now because I want to make sure I say it right. Where is it? It's called, oh God, no, that's not it. Oh, dang it. Sorry, everybody. It's gone. I don't know where it is. It's like Gorilla something. Everybody, it's people that are listening. They're coming to the record bar in the new year. Oh man. I'm on
Can we
this.
just look up the record bar concert calendar?
Yeah, look at the record bar concert calendar. It's coming in the new year. It's something Gorilla something. And it's like, I listen to it and I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is, but I'm in because it just.
I don't know. I can't put a finger on what even this
so
music
weird.
is, but I'm interested.
Yeah. Barrett Martin's coming through town, which I think is interesting. If you know Screaming Trees and Mad Season. But this is like there it is. Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum. That is an actual band.
By the way, first off, as your new band manager, we got to shorten that name. We got to tighten it up.
That might be the name of
we got to tighten it up.
In Season to Risk are part of that as well. It is Monday, March 11th, and I remembered listening to it being like, this avant-garde, and it's like if you know Mike Patton, right? Everyone knows Mike Patton, Faith No More, but he's also got Mr. Bungle. It's very equivalent to Mr. Bungle, if you're familiar with that at all. So
Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum.
Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum. It is as avant-garde as I think.
Okay, so the band we're looking for to sign, Weird.
Yes.
The weirder the better.
The weirder the better, because I feel like what that does is that gets you a niche. For example, something just happened with the Grateful Dead where they've got like some of the top ranking albums of all time on Billboard. It's because, again, I've never met a Grateful Dead fan, but they're out there. Same thing with Fish. There are people that like travel around.
Love
You
Fish.
do. You do.
No, I know people.
Because all of a sudden now I'm just imagining you on a summer of nothing but LSD going like I think
you have to like drugs more than I do to be really into Fish.
I remember.
I think, you got to be way more into him.
I remember some dude being like, I don't remember where I was. I remember him telling me he was following Fish. Like it was great, all my mushrooms and this and that and LSD. And I was like, so how do you afford this? He goes, I buy a loaf of bread, and I buy a jar of peanut butter, and I buy a jar of jelly. And I make sandwiches and I sell them for $5 a pop. And I'm like, and that's
it?
He's like, That's all
Just
I do.
standing outside a concert selling $5 PB&Js?
I just walk around. And sometimes
I'm always looking for business ideas in this show, and all this whole time, all I got to do is
make peanut
stand
butter.
out. I got to go down to Arrowhead and make PB&Js and just sell them to people?
I was going to say, you got to start the Cody and Gold, record album, but maybe you should just do Cody and Gold PBJs.
Well, maybe that's how we get the first pressing,
Yeah.
How do we get the money to press the...
Anymore,
you don't even press
I don't think
the CD,
I don't think you call it Cody and Gold Records. I think it's Tappin' Records.
No, if it's me and you, we got
Tappin' Gold Records.
You don't want to be in on this? You want Gold? Gold doesn't have any interest in music.
No, but I mean, just the Tap and Gold. It just has
That does have a good name.
That's what I'm saying.
Gold Record already has a thing,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like you're immediately piggybacking off of
but
that.
Tap and Gold Records.
Cody had a goal at the beginning of the year to get X number of his name on X number of things, and so for the entire last calendar year, I feel like every other week it's been, what can I put my name on this week? He tried to convince Casey Current like 2 weeks ago to get a pizza place.
I heard that.
So
yeah,
this has been a struggle.
We're working on it. We did buy a box full of Amazon return stuff to look up on the show.
I think the next thing then is buy a storage unit.
I wanted to get a pallet. I wanted a full pallet.
Yes.
But they were trying to talk me. They walked me back down to just like a big box.
Dude, you need to go down to the auction in the East Bottoms on Thursday nights.
Man, what do we got? What is going on there?
I'm going to shout out Andrew Turner Auctions. It is fantastic. It is amazing. Every Thursday, it's in the East Bottoms. It's I think it's on Front Street. It's amazing. I went one time with my wife and my sister, and one dude got like 2 giant boxes full of old Playboys for $5. And I was like, that's crazy. He goes, the only reason why I won them is because one of them in there has an interview back in the 80s with Donald Trump, and I saw it on eBay for $150, and I'm just going to I'm like, you'll definitely make your money back on that.
Sure, that's why you wanted the box.
I mean, come on, man. Like, anymore.
Internet now.
I mean, come on. We all got
anybody who has to justify
we got
a
smart.
decision that difficult,
But I'm telling you, I have been to like I don't want to call them thrift stores, but they're like antique thrift stores, with just like tons of stuff everywhere.
Like a flea market?
Yeah, kind of, right? I got a 3-seater bleachers from the old downtown stadium from one place. I mean, I saw just like boxes just full of like individual Playboys that people buy. Especially like I got one for my birthday, July of '77. So it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I mean, this place, dude, you want to go down there and just tap into something.
Just look into something?
Pun intended.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'll take a look. When we come back, let's get back into the Chiefs here in Cody and Gold. Jason Nivens over at 98.9 The Rock. He's with us until 1.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio.
Ever since I started listening to Cody and Gold, my sex life has never been better.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
I'm Mitch Holtis, voice of the Chiefs. Everyone develops cataracts naturally as they get older. When your vision is affected by cataracts, you should see my doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein at Silverstein Eye Centers. Dr. Silverstein is a world-renowned cataract surgeon who performs life-changing laser-assisted cataract surgery with premium lens implants to correct your vision up close and far away. Trust my eye doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein, Silverstein Eye Centers, 816-358-3600 to schedule an appointment.
As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than now. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options that include the spreads, player props, over-under, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/610Bob and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL and 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame moneyline wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Some of you have probably noticed we started video streaming our show as well on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, you name it. And one of the things we make sure looks good is the lighting, and one of those things that we have to be cognizant of is that we don't have the lights reflecting through Cody's glasses and showing up on camera. Fortunately, it's not something we got to worry about with mine because I don't wear glasses anymore. I don't wear contacts anymore. I've told you guys about the great staff at Dury Vision. Went in for SBK Advanced LASIK. I had a free consultation. 2 days later, I had my procedure that just took minutes. And then the next day I was driving into work, and now I see without contacts, without glasses. It is simply incredible. It's been the best decision I've ever made. And right now, don't forget, it's a great time to take advantage of open enrollment season. LASIK is an eligible expense under most of your flex spending and health savings accounts. So give Dury Vision a call at 913-491-3330 or just go online to duryvision.com. Again, 913-491-3330. And tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold, each day from noon until 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio.
This Saturday and Sunday only at Old Navy. Get $12 flannels for the family. Grab your fall flannels for only $12. But hurry, it's only this Saturday and Sunday at Old Navy. Valid 11/11 and 12 select styles only.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, there's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus in present state where lawful to wager. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only $5 pregame moneyline wager required. First online real money wager only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700 visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Help is here. Visit gamblinghelpma.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
This holiday season, Capital One reminds you to give yourself the gift of 1.5% cash back with the Capital One Quicksilver Card.
Can I earn 1.5% cash back on birds?
Birds?
What if you sent your true love 2 turtle doves plus a partridge in a pear tree?
Sure, but why would anyone want that?
The song was very convincing.
Earn 1.5% cash back on all your holiday purchases with the Capital One Quicksilver Card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa.
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Park and Go. Book parkandgo.com.
Tackle your airport parking needs at Park and Go. Always the best service and always the best price at bookparkandgo.com. Open 24/7 and all spots are covered. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. Park and Go, family owned and operated.
Loathsome crawling thing, be done with your minuscule affairs. Oh, hungry, creeping speck, I release you.
This is the band we're trying to sign? This is the
Sleepy
kind of band?
Time. This might be a little too avant-garde. Somebody said along the lines of Primus, and I can get into that.
Roach, you live on carrion.
Yeah, so that's and when you get this kind of vocals, you're almost into the Tom Waits, Captain Beefheart, even in a bit of a Nick Cave sort of place.
Bizarre. I've never heard of them. But you're right. You listen to some of it and you're like, maybe I'd like to hear more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd like it, but I'm intrigued enough to continue to listen.
I always recommend, if you're willing to experiment with your music, you got to go Tom Waits. Some of it I love to digest. Some of it I'm like, nah, I'm okay. I'm gonna pass on that.
We'll just skip this track and I'll find something else later.
Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, which everyone knows, Red Right Hand. That's sort of obviously like legendary now, especially with Peaky Blinders. But I saw that dude at the Midland when, sometimes they have concerts at places and they put seats on the floor. And you're like, oh, why would you do that? Yeah, I saw they put seats on the floor for Jack White and for Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And by the end of the night, those chairs are all just stacked up on the side and it's wide open. And Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds is amazing live. So is Jack White. But yeah, I like that. Like singer-songwriter kind of just a little odd.
Just a little odd enough.
Just odd enough to be different.
So if you fit that, hit us up at Cody B. Tap on Twitter. And we're maybe getting into the industry. You never know.
And shout out also to Farewell Cafe. Eventually, I'd like to get over there and see that joint.
All those pieces of paper we sign for like Plug Old and Payload. What's the rule on that if we just want to play our own band? It's not quid pro quo.
Right, yeah.
We're not being offered anything to play it. We just have a vetting interest in it. What's the rules on that?
I think
does it fall under the same umbrella?
I think it's something to do with like ask for forgiveness instead of beg for permission. I think that's what it comes down to.
I think that's it. Play it for a long time before you even mention that you're like, why do you keep playing his band? Weird, I don't know. They're not even signed by anybody. They're just send us an EP and we love it. Can't tell you what.
Yeah.
We do have breaking news into Cody and Gold. This, per the Daily Mail. Same as the paparazzi. Travis Kelce has landed in Argentina.
Oh, my.
So for all the questions that we had speculated on this very show, whether or not, they had said they're both career-oriented. They like to support each other in their careers. I had said this has been a one-way street to this point.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is in Argentina for the Buenos Aires portion of her tour.
Yeah, she's down
Travis Kelce's down there. He's going to catch the show.
I was saying she's down there for a few dates, right?
Like she got like 4 or 5 dates.
Yeah, so I mean, does he go to all of them? Does he go?
Why not? You're going to get great seats.
Does he go to a handful of them? Is it,
I assume as long as he's down there, he's going to the show. He's not going to go get dinner by himself.
No. I just wonder at what point
she plays tonight. Yeah. She plays tomorrow. I assume he's there for both, and then he flies back because then she goes to Rio.
Yeah.
So
I don't see him going to Rio. I think if you are Andy Reid having this conversation with your star tight end,
that's a lot of jet lag. I'll be honest. Jet lag. But they're off the entire. Like they don't really go back into the office until like Wednesday.
Okay.
Let me just be honest.
So he could.
They don't go back into the office till Wednesday.
Yeah.
He stays for the show tonight. He probably goes to the show tomorrow, Saturday night. Cool. Flies back Sunday. He's there for the quick walkthrough on Monday. A little jet lagged, okay.
Yeah, right.
Nothing happens on Tuesdays in NFL facilities. Cool. Wednesday practice.
Yeah.
All right, you're probably going to be feeling a bit sloggy Wednesday, Thursday, but by the time Monday night, by the way, they don't play till Monday.
Yeah.
By the time Monday night against the Eagles roll around,
am I
worried Travis going to be a little jet lagged?
No.
Nah, they're all flying places anyway. Maybe he's going to Argentina a little bit further. There's going to be guys in Cabo, Vegas, Canada, a beach. They're
Yeah.
all flying. And you know he's flying private on a sick-ass jet. Do you think that it's like you and I flying down there on Spirit? No.
Dude, when that and you know what? So I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't know what made me think about the Taylor Swift Kansas City phenomenon, but we'll always have that. A few years from now, we're all going to have the stories about where were you the first time they showed Taylor on TV at Arrowhead, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know my memory; it's etched in my brain. I know exactly where I was, what was going on. But I remember that when all that hullabaloo was going on, my mother-in-law was over, and she goes to my wife. She goes, "Well, I sure hope Travis paid for her airfare."
She's worth $1 billion.
My wife just looked at her mom and was like, "She has her own plane. She does." Yeah, it's not like she put her on Southwest.
She's worth 400 times that he is.
Yeah. So I thought that was cute. You know, you don't know, right? But that is a
like do the gentleman thing.
Yeah.
Now, when you're speaking like that level of rich, the gentleman thing is not I paid for your flight to come down there or I picked up the dinner tab. Right? Like he rented out the restaurant. He rented out Prime Social.
Right.
Even that's not the quality. It's just like making the effort.
Yeah.
She's made the effort to come to your city a lot.
Yeah.
You know, she's got rehearsal, she's got practice, she got stuff.
Well,
so he's going to go down there for a little 2-night stay in Buenos Aires. They're going to spend some time together. He'll get to catch the show, exchange some bracelets with some Taylor Swift fans, and he'll fly back into some practice. Yeah, it'll be good.
And also, let's keep. We're taking on the team that we beat in the Super Bowl, who subsequently his older brother plays for. Like, he's going to be up for that game. You know, like. We're not looking at a Johnny Manziel thing where he's out in Vegas the night before a game going, I can't get back.
And somebody's asking, he's like, hey, is it in the same time zone? Because you're thinking, hey, how far south? No, it's about 3 hours apart, but that's it.
Okay.
It's not the same as going to Germany. It is currently 3:40 Central Time in Buenos Aires.
Okay.
So, I mean,
it's not.
It's like flying to L.A., dude. It's the same. I mean, I get it. It's a longer flight. But again, he is on a very nice private jet.
Yeah, what's to say a dude doesn't grab some Z's on that plane? If it's a nice enough plane, I'm laying down. I'm taking a little cat nap.
Not worried about trap. There's always going to be people who be like, would he do this if it was a playoff game? I'm like, I wouldn't care there, and I don't care now.
How about we cross that bridge when we get there? Let's focus on because I think a lot of times that's what happens with our teams is that we look ahead sometimes too much, and we don't pay attention to what's in front of us in the moment. And I think that's like be in the moment, be in the now.
I think some of this is because people want to, and I don't know where you stand on this because everybody's a little bit different. People are always worried that like the end will come for Travis Kelce, that he'll get old and all of it.
He will.
There's
going to come a time.
I think he'll quit before he's a non-productive 1,000-yard tight end in the NFL.
He'll leave on a high note. Yeah.
He's got 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He is 34 years old.
Yeah.
His skill set doesn't age, in my opinion, the way that it ages for other players. When you're a running back and you can't get to the outside, it's different. When you're a wide receiver and you can't run a 4.2 40 anymore. It's different. When you're a tight end whose job is just about creating space inside of other people, that skill set doesn't diminish, or it would have started to diminish.
Yeah.
He's on pace for the same amount of yardage he had 5 years ago when he was 30, 3 years ago when he was 32, 7 years ago when he was 28. I just think that he's the same type of skill set.
I mean, but also too, like it happens in every year in every sport. Michael Jordan retired. George Brett retired. Walter Payton, rest in peace, he retired.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders walked away, right?
It happens. It catches people. But there's also exceptions. It never really caught Tom Brady.
No.
He won a Super Bowl second to last year, and he's still pretty damn good.
Man,
at 45 years old. Some people it doesn't get.
I think he was born a month after I was, right? And there were times when I was watching him going, yeah, he looks like I do. 40. He's looking 40. He's done. And it's like, oh, he just came back and beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl when they were down so bad, and then like, oh yeah, he's looking pretty slow. He's looking 44. Oh,
I think it's especially when the Chiefs' offense is going the way it is. You're looking for anything that's like a disadvantage, right? That's what it is. Like, oh, this could be a disadvantage because where they are, or this or that. You're like, no. Travis and Patrick are the two you don't need to worry about. I understand that Patrick hasn't played as well as we're accustomed to, and I'm not saying he's not part of what can make them better offensively in the second half. But he's also not the problem, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure, he can play a little bit better. But the last two people on the planet I would ever worry about in this offense are Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Probably third on that list for me is Creed Humphrey, based on the way he currently plays. And maybe Joe Tooney, they are like the least concerned player. Yeah.
I mean, those
parts of the offensive line.
Yeah, they're solid. But also too, and I think you were discussing this earlier, if I heard you correctly. Offenses around the league
way down
are I don't want to call struggling.
No,
but
this
I guess
is the lowest point total on an average per game basis since 2007.
So we
this is the
thought
worst offenses have been in 2 decades.
We thought Allen was going to be lighting it up. We thought Burrow was going to be lighting it up. We thought Justin Herbert was going to be lighting it up. We thought, Jalen Hurts would be lighting it up. We thought it was just going to be the lights out all day long. But it's been like, damn, the defense have started to make their adjustments.
Like if you think for a second about Mahomes and you're like, oh God, he just hasn't looked like the player that I thought. He is still the favorite to win MVP.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about where the rest of offense is in the NFL?
Right. And his numbers, too. What is he? He's like second or third in the league, right? Numbers-wise?
Passing yardage, passing touchdowns. He's right at the top of the league. He's not the leader in all of those categories, but he's right near the top.
So, it's all right, everybody. It's okay. But, yeah, I think also, too, when you're looking at, especially when you're dealing with the Chiefs, and I know that we've had a really great run the last, obviously, 5 years, there are so many reasons to be scarred. Right? Like so many, like the Marcus Mariota game where he threw a touchdown pass to himself. The game against Andrew Luck when somehow we kept losing players to injury and he just kept driving down the field to kill off our season. We had so many times
when punt game.
Like so many times when you're just like, why is this team cursed? Right? And then now it's like, I don't know if we're like, we've stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And now we become like, well, if I was Coach Reed, I don't know if I would let Trav go down there and do that. That just doesn't seem like a wise decision. It's like, dude, we're 7-2, guys. We are 7-2. 7-2. Like who else is 7-2 in the league?
Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore.
And the Eagles are 8-1.
Okay. So we're in the top 3.
End of list.
We're okay. We're okay. Everybody calm down. Relax.
It's hard because I think what's happened here, and this is a good thing in fandom, is that the Chiefs are so good, greed has set in. I'm greedy. And honestly, I'm greedy now.
Is this
screw 1 or 2 Super Bowls? It should be way more.
Is this how KU basketball Jayhawks fans are?
Yeah.
Is this the same thing?
Dude, KU basketball fans get mad when their team gets knocked out in the Elite 8. They're like, oh, only made a Final Four. Missouri and Kansas State have never even made it.
We're trash this year. We're in the Final Four. We got knocked out of the Final Four. Garbage. They gotta get rid of self.
If you're not going to win it, what's even the point? I mean, But honestly, isn't that kind of how it is with the Chiefs now? I mean, if you...
It's a bit of a Yankees scenario, right?
Not anymore, but Yankees
I mean, this
90s.
year was rough, yeah, for sure. But in a few years, yeah. But and I remember telling people that, going up there as much as I have and do, in that summertime, catching that train up to the Bronx, man, and everybody on there is rocking the pinstripes, and there's not it's not like with the for most of the time, minus 14 and 15 for the Royals, you're just like, oh, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have some hot dogs. We're gonna drink some beer. Probably gonna lose, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. Whereas up there, it's like, no, we're gonna kill these guys today. That's the attitude up there. And so I guess the Chiefs have sort of adopted that. So that's fine. That's good. Chiefs fans, excuse me.
Yeah, you don't want to settle, and Chiefs players probably too. You don't want to settle for, wow, that was a nice little run.
Right.
This is supposed to be the glory days of. It is. This is as good as it will probably ever get for anyone who is alive and listening to the show. I don't care if you're a baby, you're like a 6-month-old baby, and they happen to have Cody and Gold on at the house, or you're 90.
Right.
It's never getting better as a Chiefs fan than this. This is it. This is peak. This is as good as it will ever be for you. We might not have seen that with the Royals yet, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know that we've had a couple of good runs. Maybe it'll be the 70s, right? For my life, and I wasn't even alive during then. For my life, it'll be 14 and 15.
Yeah.
But if that, peak, I don't want that to be the peak. Oh, God, I hope it's better than that during some run.
I mean, the fact
where
that
they're more consistently good and win a World Series.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see a stronger run by the Royals. Even just let's just not lose 100 games. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Right? And then let's at least get above 500, right? And then let's make an honest run at it. But yeah, because it does get a little demoralizing, I think, when your whole marketing angle is, hey, come see the other players. That's kind of rough, right? But I do think you've got this young talented.
They're really
squad.
good.
They got a young talented squad. It's just the Royals. Like, you see some of these players and what they can do. Like, let's have some of that Chiefs magic rub off on them. Be nice.
We can talk about Bobby Witt Jr. coming up in about 10 minutes or so. Our guy Rob Collins from Fox 4 will join us here shortly. But let's get to it. Let's get to the random question of the day.
Random question.
For you, Nivens. For you, Q, over in the text line, 913-586-7610. This is the time of day, Nivens. I don't think you've been in during this time. We just do a random question based on anything I'm feeling like in the moment.
Okay.
I had a moment last night. This is where it's going to be based in, and I knew you'd have an answer for it, so it's perfect.
Okay.
What is the thing your parents did during your life that you have now accepted as a parent practice going forward? My answer is last night in the car, I was driving my daughter and her friend home from dance. They had turned on the overhead light in the car on the way home, and I told them, can't do that. Cops don't like it. We could get arrested. Jumped to it immediately, like wearing an old hat. Oh, no. We can't be turning on the light in the car. That's illegal. And if we do that, we could be in trouble with the police. Better turn it off. I didn't even think I knew I was going to do that and immediately jumped to it. So what is the habit your parents had that you stuck with?
Well, I've been deconstructing a lot of my upbringing in terms of how I was raised and trying to do things a little differently than how I was reared, as they say.
But there might still be something that sticks.
Man, let's go to UQ on this one. I'll come back. Since I'm the guest, I'll take the last. I'll take the field on last.
I've got one that kind of applies here. When I moved out on my own and I had roommates, there are things that you see your parents do your whole life and you just sort of accept as normal. Mm-hmm. And then you see other people see you doing it and you're like, what the hell are you doing? So I think a lot of that applies for cooking with me.
Okay.
So I don't use a colander when I strain noodles. I just don't want to get it dirty like a strainer. So I'll just pour the water out. I'll take a lid and sort of cover the top.
But then are you dirtying the lid?
Well, a lot of the times.
I mean, isn't that the same thing?
And the steam will get your hand all.
I'm just telling you, don't. That's the way I've seen it. And
so you don't use a colander?
I don't use a colander.
Weird.
I have one. I own one. I don't use it. It is shoved in the back of the. I've never. My parents don't use one. That's just the way that it is.
I think the only parenting thing that I really harp on the kids about is just turn the lights off. Turn the lights off. You're not in your room. Turn the lights off.
Turn the lights off.
Turn the lights off. Turn the lights off. Close your curtains. Turn the lights off.
I know the one thing I say a lot that I was like, God, was I ever inside or out?
Yeah.
Inside or out. Stop opening this door much. I don't think I say you're letting the air conditioner, but inside or out.
That's never the thing for me. It's just a lot of times, because of the boys' neurospiciness, it's a lot of bouncing around all over the place, and so a lot of times it's in and out and in and out and in and out. And then the dogs, we got 3 dogs, Great Pyrenees. They're running around. It's like, get outside, get outside. Please get outside. You guys are driving me crazy. But yeah, for me, it's definitely just the. Turn the lights off. You're not. Why are your lights on? You're watching The Simpsons. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I know. It's why.
See, I had to break some of those unserious generational curses. I grew up in a house where nobody locked anything. Right? No cars, no doors.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And so for the longest time, even into adulthood, I still wasn't really doing those things. And my wife was like, "We have to lock the door. When we leave the house, we have to lock the door." Now I still refuse to lock my front door when I'm just home.
Okay.
I'm like, who am I keeping out?
Yeah.
I'm here. So I don't lock the front door if I'm physically sitting in my living room unless it's before bed. And I only do that because, so there's some that I have to retrain myself where I just the habit of childhood exists.
We try and lock the front doors, obviously, at night and stuff. But we are in the city. So, I mean, you have that aspect of there's some people that you're like, who's this guy? I don't recognize him. But also the way that our house sits, it's kind of the way we've designed it. It's a bit of a fortress. So it's hard to figure out how to get to our front door, which is nice because you have to be all the way down the street yelling up at us, and we're 18 steps up from the street from where our house is. We sit on the hill. So
we sit on a hill too, so it's just inconvenient to get to my front door.
Yeah, it's same thing. Same thing with ours.
I know for a fact my wife's is she will not leave the house unless she goes to the restroom first. And her mom, it's a very strict rule. Still with her mom. Still with her mom. It's a very serious rule. She'll make my kids make sure they use the restroom before they leave anywhere with her. My wife will not leave the house unless she's used the restroom first. Won't walk out the door.
And I understand why. You understand why. My wife has given birth to 3 humans. Yours has given birth to 2.
Yeah.
That does an godly amount of damage to these poor ladies' bodies and their bladders.
Totally unfair, by the way.
I mean,
we're getting way easier into this.
Let me remember this, all right? Your wife is a queen, and she needs to be treated as such, right?
Sure.
And there are times that you might feel like she's being a little naggy on you, right? You know what you do? Okay, babe.
Let it go.
I love you. Let it go, pal.
Someone's asking if you've ever been to a house that they used a poop knife in.
It's something to do with the digestive tract, because I remember a friend of mine's little brother had this issue, and it's like it's hard for their poop to break up properly, and it can clog the toilet, so you have to break it up.
Oh
yeah,
God.
We don't have that.
Every time we also do not have a poop knife in the Tap household.
Yeah, no.
Quentin, are you familiar with this?
I did not know that this. Look, I don't have kids. The youngest children that I interact with in my life are my. I guess cousins-in-law. They're my sister-in-law's cousins, and I hang out with them sometimes because I get dragged along to a lot of my sister-in-law's family outings because I'm a buffer zone between my brother and her crazy parents. So I get to oh, hey, come with me, Jared. I want to show you this. That's my job, and I've accepted that. So I do. So then I interact with the youngins over there too. So I only know some of this stuff.
Until you you can be around kids in terms of oh yeah, my brother's got kids or my sister's got kids, and you get an idea, a rough idea.
Not until you're in it.
Until you're in it, man. You are a guy that's no, I could play professional baseball. I totally could. Yeah,
I saw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. It didn't look that fast.
It didn't look that fast. And then you're in the game, and you're like, God, wow, okay, yeah.
And then the curveball.
That curveball comes at you, and you jump out of the batter's box, and it's like, Steve Reich. That thing was going to smack me in the face. I saw it. Yeah, until you're in the game, man. Until you're in the game, you have
completely different issue.
Yeah.
Nivens,
yes.
I appreciate you stopping by.
No
Thanks
problem.
for spending some time with us on a Friday.
I'm always available.
When this show's done, you can go listen to Nivens on the Rock. You start at 2?
3.
3.
Yeah, almost 3.
I'm too used to our clocks.
I know.
So.
I know. You guys and KMBZ are on the same clocks. We are a little different. Our midday goes from 10 to 3, and then I'm 3 to 7.
I got to pick a whole extra hour on you guys. Making your life a little easy. You got to go to 7 or 6?
7.
Oh, okay, that's
so 3 to 7. So I'm bumped. So I'm not I'm still doing that 4. Solid 4.
You're good. Unless it's a Friday, and then maybe,
I went to a
just play some extra
I went to a high
Metallica
school
in the
football
final
game
hours
last
and be home
Friday.
by
I went to a
6.
high school football game last Friday.
With Bink?
No. I went to watch my alma mater take on and defeat Bishop Miege. My alma mater being St. Thomas Aquinas, who is in the playoffs again tonight.
Okay.
Good luck, Saints.
Good luck to St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, St. Thomas Aquinas Penitentiary is good times.
My high school team did not make the playoffs. When we come back, our guy Rob Collins will join us for Club 610 next.
Cody and Gold.
The facts on this show are irrelevant.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
When it comes to beef, nothing tops world-class, highly marbled Wagyu. Booth Creek's Wagyu Meat Market is now open in Overland Park, and it is time to elevate your beef. Their farm-to-fork commitment brings this intensely rich and flavorful beef from the tall grass prairies north of Manhattan, Kansas, directly to your table. Come into what our customers are calling the jewelry store of beef and taste the difference. Our in-store experts are sampling freshly seared Wagyu 7 days a week, located in the shops at Deer Creek Woods, 135th and Metcalf.
JR and Company offers a lifetime workmanship warranty on every residential roof. Why? Because our roofers are that good. Kinda makes you wonder about the other guys. JR and Company, home of the free online storm check at jrstormcheck.com.
Temperatures are low, but demand is high. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
Fill your game day cooler with the refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, real brewed tea with a 5% kick of alcohol. Look for the bright yellow cans. Twisted Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Temperatures are low, but demand is high. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
Fill your game day cooler with the refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, real brewed tea with a 5% kick of alcohol. Look for the bright yellow cans. Twisted Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Is your payment too much or your interest rate too high? I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit, and it's time to switch and save.
Switch and save your way at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Get a low sign then drive lease and pay $0 down and $0 next month. Or switch your rate and get as low as 3.9% for 72 months. Or save by getting $1,000 more for your trade.
Don't miss out. Switch and save at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Financing through VCI OAC.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Dell's Black Friday event is their biggest sale of the year. Shop limited time deals on laptops like the stylish, innovative XPS 13, engineered to do it all on the Intel Evo platform. Plus, save big on ultra-sharp monitors and top brand accessories. It's the perfect time to upgrade any home, business, or gaming setup powered by Intel Core processors. Shop now at Dell.com/deals to take advantage of huge savings and free shipping. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold, each day from noon until 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey! 610 Sports Radio.
Hey, have you ever been ripped off? It sucks. Having a daily reminder of it is even worse. If you shave with a well-known big razor brand every morning, you might be thinking more about how much you paid for the blades than about how smooth your shave is. I'm Andy, the founder of Harry's. We give you a high-quality shave and an expertly engineered product for a fraction of the price that the big guys charge, with no compromises. They have 5 blades, Harry's has 5 blades. They have a lubricating strip, Harry's has a lubricating strip for extra glide. They have a trimmer blade, Harry's has a trimmer blade for the hard-to-reach areas. They charge up to $4 per blade. Our German-engineered blades cost as little as $2. Big brands charge higher prices because they can. Harry's keeps you in mind, focusing on high quality at a fair price. So stop rinsing cash down the drain every morning. Get a great shave for a fraction of the price with Harry's. Get a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/kickoff. That's harrys.com/kickoff.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios.
Hey, this is Trent McDuffie, and you're listening to the official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
It's a Friday in Cody and Gold. That means it is Club 610 time here on 610 Sports Radio. Our guy Rob Collins from Fox 4 joining us.
Thank you, sir.
For the
See,
final
you already
hour.
have the booze ready. Let's roll, man.
I batch cocktail today because it was just me and you, and I was like, well, normally I just make Alex introduce people and talk for a minute while I shake all the cocktails and stuff like that. It's just me, so I can't really reasonably ask Rob, Rob, just say anything into a microphone you want for a few minutes. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm going to make these cocktails.
You got 2 minutes, go.
So I made Negronis because, one, they are equal parts.
Okay.
So it is Campari, gin, sweet vermouth, 3 equal parts,
Easy.
all the same, ready to go. And it's not hard to batch, right? It's just 3 things.
No.
So here you
Is
go.
this a shaken, not stirred drink, or how'd you do it? Which way?
So I shook them to mix, but you can do it however you want, really. Okay. There's no particular.
What's better in your bartending experience?
I always liked Negronis up. I've found that people serve them on the rocks way more now than when I used to drink them. I used to just like them shaken really cold, served in a martini glass.
Yeah.
Wait, if you want one, I got one for you, but you have to come grab it.
I like shaken because the aeration, because sometimes when you stir stuff, it just falls apart before you start drinking it again.
Yeah, no. I think with these, because they're equal parts, there's almost no way to do a drink like this wrong.
True.
Because, you're using Rieger Gin, you're in good shape, and then it's just equal parts. It's just
Well, when I make drinks, it's equal part whiskey and equal part ice. So that's about it. You can't screw that.
That'll get it done, too. I'm not kidding. I was asking my wife last night. It was Wednesday.
There you go, Q.
I was talking about which cocktail I was going to make. I was like, well, I'm not going to bother. The people at Rieger, they're great.
Yeah.
If I need an ingredient I don't have, right? I don't have this one liqueur.
Yeah.
They'll leave them in little apothecary bottles for me. I can go pick them up. We're all good to go. And so I was like, what am I going to make this week? And I was like, well, Rob's coming in. I was like, Rob's about to get whiskey on the rocks.
Yeah. Hey, it's fine with me.
Just straight. We're about to just drink J. Rieger whiskey.
It's that,
on the rocks.
When my son turned 21, I met him in New York. I brought a bottle of Rieger, the biggest bottle they had of whiskey for his 21st birthday.
Thought we'd have the local stuff.
It was fantastic. He was he was surprised I didn't tell him I was coming. But he and all his mates who were hiking the Appalachian Trail were like, hey, your dad's here, and he brought a gallon of whiskey.
You're just trying to make sure you're taken care of. That's all.
It didn't last long, let me tell you that.
No, never does. Especially when you're turning 21.
Well, there was 8 people, so.
Okay. That was now, and I don't think at the time I probably appreciated how much harder, because at the time I was getting bottles regularly, but for my brothers, sorry, a little ice pressure.
Because you got a ghost in here or something? The ice is melting because it's so hot in here? It is warm in here. Dude, it's like a sauna, man.
The club is hot today.
Club 610 is banging hot today.
I have no idea. I keep turning this thing down. It will not get cooler in here. It is so hot in the studio.
I heard you talking about what your parents, you do that your parents do. At my house, I'm adamant. Do not touch the thermostat.
Oh, you're a thermostat. And your parents were doing that, touch thermostat people?
And I'm a light guy, too, like Nivens.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but my wife and daughter turn on every light in the house in the morning in rooms they don't even use. I walk through the house turning off lights. I spend 10 minutes a day just walking through the house turning off lights. No one's even in the room. Like in the basement. No one's down there. 3 lights are on. It drives me crazy.
Maybe Alex was at the GM meetings because there was a bug going through there, so they kind of called him early. But I'd mentioned the Bobby Witt. We can talk about the Chiefs because they're on a bye week, but the Bobby Witt Jr. storylines are going to start coming out more and more, and we're going to start getting some numbers around it. I think the Royals are pretty confident they're going to get something done. But I think if you think it's the 13-year deal, you should probably let that go and assume it's 6 or 7.
Yeah, that long-term deal is dicey.
I think what it is he'll take the guaranteed money. He'll take being here a few more years, locked up guaranteed, but he's not giving you all of his 30s yet.
No.
Because that's why I was saying, you can't just sign Bobby Witt Jr. and call it good. You are going to have to, for years, prove to him that he's sticking around after this contract. If you want to be a lifer as a Royal, a Hall of Famer as a Royal, all those things.
I think they have to prove it to him now before he signs.
Probably.
Show me. So he's not out there like Patrick Mahomes was in the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay with no help. I mean, he's going to need some help. They need another pitcher. They need another bat. They need a corner outfielder. They got to get those done, I think, before Witt or at least tell him, say, hey, man, here's what we're planning, and we'll go from there. But he can't sign a big deal by himself. It won't work.
You got a dream trio? I got to ask that. I filled in for somebody asked me to be on their podcast. They were talking Royals baseball with me specifically, and they were like, all right, what is the realistic combo of starting pitcher, relief pitcher, and outfielder you want?
I can't say Shohei and Montgomery.
No, otherwise that's definitely what
and
I'm
Juan
answering.
Soto.
My answer, yeah. Look,
That's not going to happen. They're not going to spend that much money. I think they will spend more money, but they're not going to spend what the Rangers did.
No, and honestly, it would be semi-irresponsible based on where they are right now to probably jump into that. And they do have, and I'll make this argument. I know people don't want to hear it, but they do have young talent.
Mm-hmm.
There is still enough that they've seen out of those players to continue to progress with them. But no, Montgomery's probably going to get 200. I don't know.
A lot.
100 million maybe?
I think he's projected to get $125 million.
Wow, $125. But
I want Gurriel. I think that is a perfect outfield fit.
Okay.
Championship caliber player.
Sure.
He was on the Diamondbacks last year. He was on the Astros championship run. He's got some power. He plays decent enough defense. Conversation. Giolito was kind of my pitcher fit.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do bounce back year, right? Let's do bounce back year. You saw how good he was in your division for how long he was in your division.
Well, that's the thing, too. In the division, they're sort of somewhat lucky. The division's not crazy hard to win. 87 wins won last year? It's not like they got to win 100 games to win the division. So I think they need that starting, get a guy, 15 a year maybe, if you can.
Look, if I could just choose Shohei and Bellinger and
right,
Montgomery all show
right?
up, and they also trade for Juan Soto because maybe he'll be on the block. Cool, I'm in. But I'm more than willing, the Bobby Witt Jr. stuff, that's why I was willing to sign him last offseason, and he was never going to sign it.
Yeah,
but now you know. Now you know you're screwed. You're going to have to break out a massive check for the guy because he's great.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the 10 best players in all of baseball. You're going to have to pay him probably like that now if you want him to stick around for a little bit. He should be willing to take a 6 or 7 year deal, in my opinion, because they got 4 years of control with him anyway.
Sure.
So if you've got 4 years of control, they're going to pay you more for those 4 than you're ever going to make.
6 for 120?
And then you're still giving up only your 20s.
6 for 120?
I think it's way more than 120. I think it's probably more like 6 for 2.
Really? Think the Royals would do
7
that?
for 2. I do. I think that I think baseball's the biggest liar. Not them in general, but baseball owners love to lie about, if we signed a $200 million player and it didn't work out, we'd be destitute. Yeah. We'd be bankrupt. The Twins have been a much more relevant team. They signed Joe Mauer to a deal. It was almost $200 million 20 years ago. Not that long, but a long time ago. Yeah. It did not work out from a financial standpoint. They never got the value out of Joe Mauer. They have been far more relevant than the Royals this entire time, except for the 14-15 runs. You can't tell me it's not.
Well, you never get to see the books.
You can't overcome it. No. Hell, that one owner even promised, and he still hasn't opened the books.
Right.
There was one owner, and probably his accountant somewhere was like, no,
we're not doing that.
Or the other 29 owners were like,
no,
don't you even dare.
Right. Don't open Pandora's box there.
We'll actually get a chance, because the Braves are public now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll actually get not the full insight, but we'll get more than we've gotten in a long time, Rob, because the Braves are a publicly traded company now, which means they have to open their books.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
So in a couple of years, we might actually get a little sense of it.
Yeah.
It'll turn out that they profited like $400 million.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be amazed, especially with what they have with the ballpark down there, the Battery.
What the Royals won and all that stuff.
Have you been there?
The Battery? I haven't. I've only seen pictures. I've heard great.
It looks fantastic.
Nobody's ever said great. Look, I want downtown baseball. I've made that clear. I love Kauffman. I think it's a great stadium. I want downtown baseball. The real question is if we're going to get it.
I want it too because it's closer to the station. It'd be easier.
Way closer to the station for you. Further from your house, closer to the station.
It's closer to my house too.
Damn, really?
I live west, so it takes me 40 minutes to get to Arrowhead and
to get
Kauffman
to Independence, yeah.
From my house.
Got it. So it's not way closer, but it's closer to your house too.
I know, man. It's great. I love it. But,
Do you like the idea of it? Do you like the idea of downtown baseball?
I do. I like it. Just because of the ancillary things around it, it'd be more fun. I mean, how cool would it? I mean, not that you and I could actually. Well, you could. Like, if there's an afternoon game, you just take off at noon and.
Dude, if it's in North Kansas City, I might be able to ride a bike over to the stadium.
Like the folks do in Wrigley.
Yeah. Well, that's what they want. They want the Wrigleyville version. I did think it was the back and forth has continued to be very interesting because there's absolutely no doubt Frank White is in the middle of this.
Yeah.
gumming up the works a little bit, whether he's trying. Like, I think he's trying to. He's in the middle of this because even like 2 days ago still.
Yeah.
Quentin Lucas was complaining about Jackson County dragging its feet.
It's
like,
amazing.
He keeps getting in the middle. Jackson County's in the middle. Frank White, the commissioner's in the middle. And then the Royals are like, can you please do something? We're kind of busy here.
Yeah. I walk in every day, and Jonathan Katz, our reporter, he's all over. He's done every story, I believe, on this stadium. And say, hey, Katz, what happened today? Because he knows. And there's something almost every day that comes out, either between.
So what's he saying? Is this going to happen? When are we going to hear? What site they're choosing?
I don't know.
I just want to know when they're deciding the site.
So does everyone else listening.
Do the Royals
and when
know?
it's going to be on the ballot? I don't know.
If John Sherman was in studio and I had truth serum, would he know the date in which they're planning on announcing the site? Because Clay County, it's so obvious, and we knew this from the beginning. They will still pull the ripcord on that, but that's the emergency shoot, right? That's if you really won't give us what we want in Jackson County, Clay will, and we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'd rather be with you. This is where we want to be. That's the site we want to be in, but we'll do it. I will say this, the renderings softens the blow a little bit because the Clay County one looked cooler.
It did. It really looked like space age.
Yeah,
I
it
liked
looked cooler. That's all.
I don't know. What do you think, Q?
I'm pro downtown baseball.
Yeah.
One, I think if they put it downtown, you have the streetcar not that far from it. So you could basically be anywhere downtown, be walking distance within the streetcar, hop on the streetcar and go to baseball. Like that to me is awesome. Like when you're up, it's like when you're up at Wrigley, right? You've got the train that takes you right there.
Right.
When you're in downtown Denver, they have their version of, quote, Power and Light. The Rocky Stadium is right there. You can get on a train, a streetcar, and you can go literally to the front entrance of Coors Field.
Yeah.
So
I believe it's a red line in Chicago,
City.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done that a few times. Actually, I used to, when I worked in Champaign, Illinois, we had a group of guys who every year would go to a Sox game and a Cubs game the same day. They'd have a day night, and then we'd do the day night
take the
doubleheader.
L?
Yeah, just jump on the L. It's fantastic.
There's so many day games for the Cubs.
Yeah,
it's like
easy.
more than doable.
Yeah, and Champagne's 2 hours from Chicago, so it's great.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want at that point.
It was awesome.
Let's talk a little Chiefs. Bye week.
All right.
I don't think Chiefs fans are being unreasonable. I understand that there's frustrations over the wide receiver stuff. Our pitch has been, but you're 7-2.
Yeah.
I think it's hard because we all know that there are fake contenders every year that have a good record. Record does not indicate that you're a good team in the NFL. There's lots of teams who win games who aren't, but they're beating good teams.
They are.
They still have Mahomes. They still have Reed. They're not just taking down the Patriots and the Raiders and the Jets on their way. They have taken down two of the other top contenders in the AFC. To me, if they beat Philadelphia a week from Monday, what more are you asking for? They've beaten 3 of the 7 best teams in the league.
Well, and their schedule is, other than a couple of games, pretty soft. I mean, you said they
I was going through that earlier. I think it's like 4 easy games.
Philly, Buffalo, and Cincinnati, to me, are the only tough games.
I was trying to decide whether to include the Chargers in it, but that's...
Well, it may not matter by then.
Which is why I was kind of on the fence anyway.
If they get going and may have an outside shot for a playoff, but it's not going to matter to the Chiefs, I don't think, at that point, because I looked at the schedule for the other teams, and Baltimore still has Cincinnati, Jacksonville, San Francisco, and Miami. Jacksonville has San Francisco, Cincinnati, Baltimore.
Don't have the tiebreaker against you.
Right. And Miami's last 3 games, Dallas, Baltimore, and Buffalo. And then Cincinnati's the team that I'd be worried about the most out of all that group. They still have Baltimore, Jacksonville, and Kansas City, of course. So, I don't know. If they win Monday night, I don't see how they don't get the 1 seed unless there's some injuries.
Yeah, because I was asking that same question. So they've got a 54% chance according to ESPN's FPI. Eagles have like a 72% chance.
Sure.
So much better odds. I just don't know how, I think the big question about if the Chiefs have a chance to lose the 1 seed is based in one very simple thing. Are those other AFC North teams actually capable of beating the Ravens? Like the Steelers and the Browns, for what they are,
right.
Are they actually capable? Because if
Baltimore plays Cleveland Sunday,
week,
right? Yeah.
If they're not actually capable of winning those games, then I think that this is a dogfight and it's going down to the bitter end. If they're going to lose 1 game against an AFC North that is competitive, then we're having a different conversation. Yeah. A lot of it is, how much do you legitimately believe in what the current records state for the AFC North? I have a hard time. Because the Browns are playing the most please don't lose us the game football ever with Deshaun Watson, and it's even worse in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
For that.
Pittsburgh's
because
bad.
Kenny Pickett is awful.
He is awful. And
I don't take them serious at all. I take Cleveland a little more serious because I think their defense is better than Pittsburgh's, and I think their quarterback situation is better than
Baltimore's
Kenny
defense is good, too. And the run game is good, but Lamar keeps fumbling the ball. They have turnover issues.
I think the Chiefs and Baltimore might be identical football teams. Chiefs turning over the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Has been inconsistent quarterback play.
Except for Baltimore runs a quarterback sneak.
Number one and number 2 scoring defenses in the NFL. Are they not carbon copies? Are they not identical football teams? The Chiefs and the Ravens? They might play a 17-14 AFC title game if they play against each other.
Nah, that'd be crazy, considering what we've seen over the last couple of years, man.
Going to overtime and all that stuff throughout?
No more needing 30 to win. Give us 24.
I just think the only thing that's going to hold them back right now is wide receiver. Like I could pigeonhole like, oh, they have turnover problems too. The Chiefs are the second most in the NFL, but I don't know. I just assume they'll fix that.
Well, when
they're penalized, they'll get a little better at that.
Well, as my dad used to say, when it comes to nut cutting time, somebody's going to have to make a play on the receiver if they continue to not run Isaiah Pacheco in short yardage situations, which drives me crazy.
I don't know why they don't open it up. Like, if they're going to need someone to do it, this is what we were talking about earlier with Nivens. Why not go 12 personnel? Throw it to Noah Moore. Why not throw to Noah Gray Moore?
Sure.
Are we sure that that's not a better option than wide receiver 2? Because, like, after Rice, I'm not
so
real
far?
interesting.
Hasn't worked so far. I don't know, man. But it's funny that we always talk about this and not being from here. You know, I think Chiefs fans have gotten a little spoiled over the last couple of years.
Greedy, spoiled, all those things are very true.
Because it's so
no
hard.
argument.
I mean, it's very hard to win in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why.
And they make it look kind of easier than it is.
That's why no one's gone back-to-back for, 20-some-odd years?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, you got to hit the window, right? You got Mahomes, you got Kelsey, you got Reed. You got to hit the window. And I understand why the Chiefs fans would get all up in arms after a loss because, you know, they don't think the Chiefs should ever lose. But, you know, you and me, when we did our predictions at the beginning of the year, what did we pick? 3, maybe 4 losses for the Chiefs?
Yeah, I had them at 13-4.
Yeah.
And that feels right on base. I feel very good about that prediction right now. If anything, I would jump it up a game.
I picked 3 losses and 3.5 because we don't know what's going on with the last game of the season against Chargers. I definitely didn't have them losing to Denver.
But I also had them probably losing one of those games earlier in the season. They're getting ready to hit the most difficult part of their schedule.
Yes.
Like, that includes the Miami game. They are firmly in the middle of the most difficult part of their schedule. They had to take on Miami, who was 6-2 at the time, now 6-3. They got to take on the Eagles, who also get a bye week. You don't even get that advantage on them. And then in a couple of weeks, you got to take on the Bills, who will be, I think, if I remember right, I think they might be coming off a bye week against you too, but I'll have to go back through it.
I'm not too worried about the Bills. I mean,
the only thing that hesitates is football's weird, and Cincinnati was 5-4 at the same time last year, and then we're a real contender. And offensively, the advanced metrics say the Buffalo is just as efficient offensively as they were a year ago. And Kansas City is not in a position where I think they take advantage of bad defenses right now, which is what Buffalo's defense is struggling.
Yes.
But they're not taking advantage of any struggling defenses right now.
That's true.
Can I counterpoint that, Cody?
Sure.
I would say that last year when Cincinnati was, coming up, they were exactly that. They were moving up the peak. We saw they started off slow and they sort of got momentum going. Whereas this year with Buffalo, there's no momentum. They're just bleh. Every game it seems like Josh Allen has to make 3 Hail Mary passes in order to stay competitive, and that defense can't play a full 4 quarters. So I don't know if the comparison between last year and this year for the Bills and the Bengals are the same just because they have the same record.
I mean, it's weird. They lost, but so they're 5-4. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games, which is like, hey, they're not peaking. Look, I can't explain the New England loss. That's embarrassing. But the other 2 are against Cincinnati and Jacksonville. Those are
playoff teams.
I got to be honest, those are acceptable losses. One of them's on the road. The third one's a division game. We're not dinging Kansas City for losing to Denver. Divisional game. Those happen.
Sure.
Divisional road. Right? Like, this is the normal ebb and flow of a season. Divisional games will get you once a year. Bad divisional games will get you once a year. The other 2 are against teams who we think might be the second, third seed in the playoffs and another playoff team. Look, if they lose to either Denver or the Jets the next 2 seasons, then I'll bury them too. I'll be in the same camp and I'll be like, yeah, just throw dirt over the grave. They're done here.
Right.
And we don't have to take this all that seriously because 4 of their last 5 games are really tough. They've got Kansas City, Dallas, the Chargers, and Miami. And a New England team is the 5th team who's already beaten them.
Yeah.
So, they lose each of the next 2 games. I'll probably bury them just like anyone else. But I'm not willing to write them off just yet. They've been consistently in the playoffs this whole time. I'm just not willing to do it yet.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. This is nice, by the way. Very aromatic.
I need more like an ice cold drink. We need like frozen drinks today. It is.
Quinn,
is it hot on your side?
Yeah, but I mean the temperature on this side of the room is always one or the other.
I'm guessing it's 80.
Dude, it's got to be. I don't have a thermometer in here, but it's got to be 80 in here. It's so uncomfortable.
Like heat lamps.
How's the studio right now? I'm coming by Fox 4 later. How's the studio feeling?
I don't know. It's dicey. Our building is so old. It's like piecemealed together, different parts. So some of it's like 20 years old. Some of it's like 50 years old. So the heating and AC is really weird. The building. It can be 90 in one room and 60 in the other.
Okay.
So you never know.
So hit or miss. You're not going to guarantee me one temperature one way or the other?
I would say the studio's probably cooler because people have been in it, all day. And if it was hot, somebody would have complained.
Somebody would have gotten a Slack message?
I don't know. Yeah. Or gotten up and just turned the thermostat.
I would have cracked a door if there weren't people out there. I don't even know how to help the situation.
It's fine.
Clubs are supposed to be hot. We got
I got
cold drink.
ice in my hand.
Thanks to Jay Rieger for our Club 610 drinks today.
Yeah,
we made a
fantastic.
Negroni. That is Campari, gin, and sweet vermouth.
Not really a gin guy, but this.
So this is
good.
one of my favorite cocktails. I really like Negronis. I like whiskey. I'm a pretty equal opportunist. I'll drink vodka, gin, whiskey.
Yeah.
But I drink less gin drinks, less vodka drinks probably than I drink just whiskey,
Me
right?
too, yeah.
But I don't know. This one always hit with me.
No,
I used to
it's
drink
good.
it. It reminds me of working in restaurants because I used to drink it with the executive chef at Webster House in the basement after our shifts. We would drink 2 or 3 of these shift's over. We're all done here. We'd be sitting down in his office with whatever random food they had made at 11 o'clock at night drinking these.
What order was messed up? Bring it.
Yeah, this is as close as my life is like The Bear as anything else. I don't know if you watch that show.
I haven't seen it. I've seen the thumbnail.
I don't think I've ever asked you, what TV shows do you watch?
Not a lot. I don't watch.
You don't watch a lot of TV? What do you do when you're not working?
At the gym, playing golf, shuttling kids.
Okay, but if you're at home,
yeah,
you're objectively not doing something and you're at home, and you got a 3-hour window of not doing something at home. What are you doing?
Jeez.
That's rare in your life,
I know,
especially
right?
at night because you work at TV.
I get home at 11 o'clock, yeah. My wife and I are watching Suits on Netflix.
I've seen Suits.
Yeah. I mean,
Familiar?
watch Yellowstone.
Okay.
Watch Peaky Blinders, which is a great show.
I've never watched Peaky
Oh,
Blinders.
you.
Am I missing out?
Yes. Q, you watch Peaky Blinders?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm familiar with it.
Dude, it
but-
is fantastic.
Okay. Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, I like mob shows. I just watched Gotti.
Oh, yeah. That's
I mean, I knew the story. I watched most of it on the plane ride back to Denver.
You weren't worried about watching Gotti on the plane?
No.
We talked about this. I had to turn a screen once because I was watching Straight Outta Compton on a plane.
Whoops. Well,
Excuse me for a minute.
On
Game
the
of
way
Thrones,
to Denver, for whatever reason, I got an upgrade, so I was in the very first seat.
Oh, nice.
Nice. On the way back, I was sitting next to the toilet, so there was nobody around me. So I wasn't worried about what I was watching, but, it's a good show. I like mobster movies. So.
Okay. Mob shows.
Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think I've ever asked you, so we might as well get to that while we're here in the club.
But I watch History Channel stuff. I'm an old guy, man. I'm an old soul. 51 years old.
World War II dramas, right? That's what we're getting into.
No, I love those, man. But I
that's
don't watch,
the joke, right? And you turn 45, you gotta either get into you gotta
old westerns.
Start brewing your own beer, get into westerns, or learn about World War II, or smoking meat.
I've been doing that.
Those are really your choices.
I've been smoking meat my whole life.
Yeah.
Wait, Q, don't mark that.
We'll be right back. We got 30 minutes left in the club here on 610 Sports Radio.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio. Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
This Saturday and Sunday only at Old Navy. Get $12 flannels for the family. Grab your fall flannels for only $12. But hurry, it's only this Saturday and Sunday at Old Navy. Valid 11/11 and 12 select styles only.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at bluekc.com.
If you or someone you know is suicidal or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides connection to free confidential support. There is hope. The Lifeline works. For 24/7 support, just call, text, or chat 988. Sponsored by ComCare and Rediscover.
Gas, groceries, utilities, you name it, the price of everything is going up. And if you're stuck in a bad timeshare with rising maintenance fees, the financial burden can be crushing. It is time to get your finances in order and get the real facts about that timeshare that you are stuck in and your options to get rid of it. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has been helping families out of horrible timeshares for over 10 years and has put together a complete timeshare exit information kit that he will send you absolutely free. To date, over 30,000 families have trusted Wesley Financial Group to help them out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. Get the facts about how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation. Simply call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit and see how you can become timeshare free. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. Once again, 800-462-3333.
There are few things more wonderful in life than intimacy. But when erectile dysfunction harms intimacy, it can have devastating effects on a relationship. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and I want you to know today that we can treat your ED and give you back the joy of loving without fear again. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating ED. And as a Permenic partner practice, we've successfully treated nearly 100,000 men across the nation. Unlike pop-up wave clinics or online pill pushers, we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations to address your specific medical situation. And our treatments have efficacy rates that are well over 90%, which means if you're like most guys, you won't have to deal with ED anymore. Beyond this, you could even last up to an hour or more and bring the joy of intimacy back to your relationship. So call us. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
It's Pro Time at Lowe's. Get big savings and rewards during Provember. Right now, buy one exclusive DeWalt 20-volt Max XR Power Detect 2-tool combo kit. Get one select Power Detect Bear tool free. That's up to a $249 value. And there's more. Save $200 on a DeWalt 12-inch dual bevel sliding miter saw. Because Lowe's knows tools. Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 11/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
My passion about ancestry comes from the fact that I was an only child who didn't have family. I see all my friends doing family outings and family this, and I would spend weekends just lost in ancestry. My first one that I found was Liz.
I was also an only child, and there were no big holiday gatherings where I got to know cousins or aunts. It's because of ancestry. We've kind of become bi-coastal besties.
The holidays are meant to be shared with family. Start today during our holiday sale at Ancestry.com.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get early access to Macy's Black Friday specials and find big savings on gifts they'll love right now while supplies last. Like the season's latest coats, 60 to 65% off. Select boots and shoes for her, just $19.99. And update your space with furniture, mattresses, and rugs, now 20 to 70% off. Plus, get your online order even faster with store pickup, now at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
This report is brought to you by KC Customs. We put the customs in KC. KC-Customs.com.
Want a new truck, Jeep, or SUV, but don't want a new payment? Then come by KC Customs. We'll turn your boring ride into one that turns heads and breaks necks. Set yourself apart from the crowd. Go to KC Customs. We put the customs in KC.
Final hour or half hour here of Club 610. Our guy Rob Collins from Fox 4 joining us.
That went by fast.
That did go by fast. Q, he's in for Drew today. I say, they've accused me of not supporting the troops. They both took Veterans Day off. They're not veterans. They have served in no capacity. And they took the day off. They just thought they deserved Veterans Day off, even though, I'm here. I'm working.
Yeah. My daughter's out of school today. My wife, veteran. Her father, veteran. He was in town this weekend. So happy Veterans Day to everybody out there.
Oh, well, then everybody got, except for you.
Yeah. Well, there are no days off in TV. You know this, man. It doesn't matter if it's New Year's. Like, we have a game on New Year's Eve. We have a game on Christmas Day. What
do you guys do for fill-in on TV? If it's just like a day, no one could just, like, somebody has to do it? There is no fill-in?
Yes.
You can't just be like, hey, Cody says he'll do it today. Is it cool if he just shows up and talks on the TV?
If you want to work for me on Christmas Day.
Christmas Day?
I'll see what I can do. I'll pull some strings. I don't know if I have that much clout, but I'll see what happens.
You guys you and Harold draw straws every year?
We kind of switch. Like, I usually take off Thanksgiving, and he takes off Christmas. So,
Makes
there are
sense.
only two of us.
Damn, you got to get a third guy.
No kidding. I've been saying that for years.
You got to get a third guy who's normally behind the scenes, but also wants to break out in front of the scenes, who can run a little. That's how I used to do Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day
Cody.
in radio. I used to do Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day in radio, and that's exactly what it was. It was opportunity.
I know.
I hosted 6 to 10 a.m. 3 consecutive years on Christmas Day. Some of those of which I might have still been hungover, because on Christmas Day we used to do our family gambling.
Yeah.
Night.
That was the best thing.
Used to be Christmas Eve.
Man, I come from a line of degenerates. I'll just put that out there. So the coolest thing for me, one year on Christmas, I was finally old enough.
To bet with everybody?
To join the adult poker table after the kids opened their presents, and most of the moms took the kids home, because before then I was the bartender. You're like, hey, Robbie, go make me a 7 and 7, whatever. But when I got high school age, they're like, oh, you can play now if you want. I'm like, oh, here we go. It was fantastic.
Do you want to come to our in-between game? So my family, this would be year 16? It's been a long time. So we missed 1 to 2 years in COVID.
Uh-huh.
We started getting together. It started on Christmas Eve. We used to play, but we play a game called In Between now.
Yeah, I know that game.
AC Doocy, depends on what you call it.
Sure.
We've done it every single year except for the 2 during COVID since I was 18 years old.
Wow.
So we are talking about we still get together.
That's fantastic.
We still do it. It's still usually an all-night affair.
Yeah.
Although some of my families will be like, hey, can we just start at 3 p.m. and just take this thing to midnight? So I'll start earlier.
Right.
But we do it every year. If you're more than welcome to be invited.
All right, let me know the dates.
I'll probably jumped up from the.
I'll probably be working, but I will do my best.
Andes have jumped up since the early tap days when we were playing with nickels and people were putting camcorders in the middle. Now it's just, oh, dude. There was a couple of those years, because my family's full of degenerates too. There were a couple of those years where you were like, there's a little too much money floating around. For everybody, but I have money set aside for it. I have a little gambling fund that I go play.
I know you have a jar.
Yeah, I have a jar, full
bucket
of cash.
or whatever it is.
It's actually jar's flush. I've been winning the poker lately.
Fantastic.
So I'm more than
maybe
covered.
I should take you to Vegas with me after the Thanksgiving.
Sure. Wait, are you guys going to go for the Chiefs game?
I think I'm going. I got to figure out how to get there because we're going out of town. I may have to fly from wherever we're going.
Wherever you're going to be.
Back to Illinois for where my wife's
There's always
from.
flights to Vegas.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry about that.
I can leave from Chicago, Indy, or St.
I've been
Louis.
running hot at the poker table.
Nice.
So I played last weekend and I won $250.
There you go.
Not a bad little day.
No.
The poker table.
I like it.
Especially when it's not people you know. This is a home game, by the way.
Yeah, I know. See, that's a weird...
I go to one very intense home game. Every other home game I play poker-wise is pretty normal, including the ones I host at my house.
Yeah.
The one I go to where the guy has his own $10,000 poker table and all, it's it's an intense game. And everyone's next to you like, hey man, what do you do? He's like, I'm a doctor. And then the person next to you, what do you do? It's like, I own my own winery. You're like, I'm not so sure I should be playing here. I just host midday sports radio, so
It's the 17th mid-market midday show.
That's right. That's right.
Shuffle up, I guess.
You bring a bag of Oreos with you?
Yeah, no, it's never quite that intense. He's got framed photos up of Rounders everywhere. It's his favorite movie on the planet.
Pay the man his money.
We always play with legit casino chips he's purchased.
Really?
Oh, these ones are from the Tropicana, old Tropicana.
I have some
chips.
cards.
Dude, it's the fanciest home game I've ever experienced. Maybe some fancier exist, I don't know. But it is from a chips table company perspective. It is the nicest thing I've ever played.
Someone says I lost $2,500 and a pair of Jordans once in a game. Oh my gosh. Woo.
Okay.
Wow. That's a lot.
That's intense.
That is intense, but apparently not as intense as your school day. I hear you didn't charm the children.
So you've got adult kids.
Yeah, my son's 21. My daughter's about to be 13.
So you got one adult kid, one teenager. Do they ever think are they ever going to think your job's cool?
They don't, because they don't know any different, right?
Outside people? Because, I could not impress these 4 and 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
They could not care what I did. It didn't matter, dude. I was losing out to everybody on this.
Someone says, don't kid Cody. We know you have a mega money contract. He negotiated his own deal, apparently. So
I don't even have an agent. It's all me.
No, my kids don't care because that's all they've known, right? I mean, I've been on TV 30 years. You know, they
means nothing to them.
It means nothing to them, right? But their friends think it's kind of cool, right? You know, like when I go to pickup line to pick up my daughter.
So there is an age
and I'm
at
a carpool dad. You know, we take a couple kids home, and they'll ask me questions about it. Or if we go to an event, like my daughter had a musical last night.
Sure.
You know, there's just people in the crowd want to come up and talk to you, you know, talk sports, this and that and the other. But I will tell you, my son likes it because he's gotten free drinks because of it at bars. He was in Manhattan. He was in Manhattan for a K-State game a couple weeks ago, and the show that you're coming on to tape today, here's a little inside dope for you.
Sometimes things aren't live.
Yelling at me for KC End Zone because we don't have the lines correct. We tape the show Fridays at 3 o'clock. Lines change by Sunday at kickoff, so just so you know. Anyway, and that airs in 5 different places around Missouri and Kansas. So it airs in Topeka, right? So after the K-State game, and it sometimes might be on Friday night, might be on Saturday night. Here it's on 8:30s on Sunday, unless the game time's different.
Yeah.
But it's usually on different places, different times. So my son and his buddies after the game went to a bar, and it was on behind him. And one of his buddies like, hey, your dad's on TV. And the bartender's looking at him, is looking up. He's like, that's your dad? No, it's not. And he got out his phone and, showed him.
He's like, yeah, it's my dad.
It's like, my dad goes, oh, cool. Here's some drinks on us. So he texts me, goes, hey, you got me a free drink. Thanks. But no, they don't care.
I felt old because this is just me trying to impress 4 or 5-year-olds. I told you my daughter's in dance.
Yeah.
And the age range is all over the place. But they were like, the dance teacher had people over their house or whatever, and there was a fire pit. We're all hanging out a couple weeks ago. And one of the, somebody was asking me about my job a little bit, and I was describing it. And one of the older girls, they were 13 or 14, and they were kind of looking at me for a minute. I was like, oh, I do sports radio. She's like, my dad follows you on Twitter. And I was like, oh, God. I don't need anybody outside of my regular life knowing what's going on here. Oh,
yeah,
no.
I know.
That sounded like the most demeaning way to say that.
Oh, yeah. She did not mean that as a compliment. Let's just be very clear about that. Someone is asking more details about this game. They really want to get invited. They're like,
sounds like it.
All right, what's the I said, first off, one thing I mentioned, he has a dealer.
Yeah.
Someone professionally.
I know the game you're talking about.
That I tip out.
Yes. I know the person and the game you're talking about.
Yeah. There's a professional dealer who's there. Someone says, what's the stakes? Depends on the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, 25, 50 cents. Sometimes it's $1.02. I think he's been known to host a 2-5 game on occasion at the place. And then, God, what's the only other thing that stands out as being kind of
Aren't you supposed to say
what
units,
here?
right? Isn't that the gambling term? When you say, I'm going to put down
that's
one
sports
unit.
betting. Yeah,
that's
betting.
sports betting. Units is a little bit different there. It's a bit intense. And someone says, is it just straight Omaha, or is it just straight Hold'em? No. It is Hold'em all the time, except for he has passing buttons to do bomb pots and Omaha. I'm telling you, if you've ever played in a home game, you're like, this is a very organized home game. Not even. This is the most organized. I've played poker since I was 18 or 19.
Yeah, me too.
This is the most organized home game I've ever been in my entire existence. I imagine it will continue to be.
We used to have one in Illinois, but it was in our garage. Nowhere near this fancy.
I have people over at my house about once a month, and we play a home game at my house. Harold's come.
Yeah.
A couple of those people. But, it's I got a table, and I have chairs, and I have chips.
Right. You don't have the actual Vegas felt table with the professional dealer and a
everyone's going to have to
shuffler.
shuffle the cards before, right? So that we can, no, we're not.
Yeah.
The rest of this is, I'll provide you some snacks.
Yeah.
And then the rest of this is just going to have to be what it is. A regular home game, poker game. I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to do. I don't know how some of you guys play at the stakes you play. I like the game, but for the people to be like, well, you don't want to play at stakes that make you uncomfortable. There are stakes that make me uncomfortable.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, gambling makes me uncomfortable.
Just in general?
Just in general.
But you said you came from a family of degenerates. You should love it.
That's why. Because I know what happens, man. I grew up in a trailer on food stamps. I know what happens when you don't have the money to pay the rent.
Yeah. We were definitely free lunch kids our entire life.
Yep. Been there. It's why I call it wagering. Never gamble what you don't have. There's a lesson for you kids.
I stand by. That's why I have the separate gambling fund we're talking about. I don't like taking it out of the checking account. I like it to just exist.
Now, obviously, you and your wife have the same checking account, right? So you couldn't hide that.
No, but she knows I have this gambling fund.
No, but if you took it out of the checking account.
Oh, no, she'd know.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
Put $500 out of the checking account.
You would be in big trouble.
She'd know. Without clearance? No, I'm not living that
Are you the
life.
CFO at your house, or does your wife handle all the finances?
She handles more of it than me. Okay. There's certainly a joint aspect to parts of it, but she does more than I do. It's fine with me. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not particular one way or the other.
Oh, I'm very anal about that. I handle all of that.
Every cent?
Every cent.
Oh, okay.
Every cent. I make a zero-based dollar budget every month. Write it down on legal pad.
This is the budget.
This is what we got.
What happens if you go over? Is there overage allowed in the Collins household?
And my wife never looks at it. She never looks at it.
I look. I mean, I know kind of, again.
But she makes more than me, so I can't yell at her. She makes the money in the house. I work in TV. You know
But
how it is.
people always ask that. They'd be like, would you care if your wife married? Hell no.
I love it.
Please do.
And she's 7 years younger than me, so it's fantastic.
No one's complaining here.
I'm not.
This weekend, are you going to judge some of the teams? Like, I always kind of like these bye weeks because they're fascinating from this perspective, which is, okay, I got to start prejudging some teams.
Mm-hmm.
Do I judge the Ravens differently if they lose to the Browns at home? Do I judge the Jags differently if they can't get past a struggling 49ers team? Do I write the Bengals back off if they lose to a Texans team without Nico Collins? I feel like that's what I kind of like about the NFL is I can start changing my opinion on a week where you don't even have to worry about the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Just sit back, relax, and see what the rest of the NFL schedule brings.
Yeah, I do like that. You can finally just watch another game without worrying. Because when the Chiefs game's on, even if you're not at work, say it's a noon game, and for us, we don't have a 5 o'clock show. I'll watch a game at home sometimes. But it's nice to watch other games to see, maybe their deficiencies or see how they compare to the Chiefs in said situation. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited to watch some other games.
I just like that. I think of all of them. Maybe that Cincy one, because C.J. Stroud interests me to a point that
he's good.
He's obviously very good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. But how good, right?
Yeah.
The AFC is loaded.
It is.
At the end of this year, where am I going to have C.J. Stroud amongst Lawrence, Mahomes, Herbert, Burt? Can he jump any of those? Can he jump any of those guys in the AFC?
I don't
This
know.
is the problem Cleveland has. They spent all that money in draft pick compensation on Deshaun Watson. He might be the 10th best quarterback in the AFC.
That's crazy.
Not the league. The AFC. He might be behind 7 or 8 guys. If you had to start your franchise right now with C.J. Stroud or
you would
Deshaun,
pick
you
half
choose
a
CJ
dozen guys over.
Yeah,
him.
easily.
Easy. Yeah,
Especially when you start factoring in money.
Yeah, that's just the biggest mistake ever.
From the 913, Cody, I made a deal with my fiance that she can have whatever engagement ring she wants as long as I can get there by sports betting.
Ooh.
Boy, so she's on the hook. She's rooting as much as you are.
Yeah,
on
right.
these bets.
You got her interested. That's a perfect way to do it. Get her interested.
She's going to be hooked by the end of that, isn't she?
Be prepared for a plastic ring, I guess.
It depends on,
Hey,
hit one big parlay. Maybe she's getting a real nice one.
That's true, man. You never know. It's so. And obviously, there's gambling in Kansas. So, have you gambled more or less since it started?
More.
Yeah.
But my problem is I imagine it would be even more if it were legal in Missouri because I would occasionally place a live wager.
Yeah.
But because I live in Missouri, all of my bets are placed before Friday at 2:00, right? Yeah. If I'm betting on the NFL,
before you leave here.
If I'm not the drive across, and I know people do it.
Yeah.
I don't drive to the state line on Saturday morning, Sunday morning, sit in Kansas for 20 minutes, make my bets. If I'm betting on it, I'm betting on it either right now. Like say I was going to bet on Thursday Night Football, the NBA tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet it now while I'm at work, and then I just step away. Now, if it were legal in Missouri, I imagine I would probably occasionally
the thing, because
I'd probably occasionally throw a live bet or two.
Because our station is in Missouri on 31st, but just down the hill past the Quick Trip, you're in Kansas, right?
Yeah.
So
it's real close. Yours is real close.
Like
to
5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes. So I haven't done that yet, but it's been very, very tempting. Like when the lines change, Sunday morning or something, or Sunday afternoon when I'm at work. Like, oh, man.
The one I want to get is like occasionally, like anytime the Chiefs are like an underdog in a game, I'm like, I'm live betting.
Anytime you get plus points.
Yeah. Now, maybe it's a little different. This is the least I've trusted the Chiefs to come back down 10 points ever.
But they don't cover very much.
Well, and so before, the Chiefs are better than any team in the NFL history to cover a team once they're down double digits.
You're not
Remember,
worried.
They won an entire Super Bowl being down 10 points. They've won 2 Super Bowls being down double digits.
The Houston game, too. You're not worried.
That entire run, remember? In the ring, it was down double-digit points in every game. I don't think this team can do that. If this team gets down 10, I don't trust it. And it's not to say that they can't score, they can't beat teams, but if they get down 10, they're probably done.
It's weird to say that because we've seen them for the last 5 years with Mahomes that they're never out of a game.
It's a little different situation, though.
It's just odd to think that, oh, no, we're down 10. I don't know if we're going to do it this time. Beforehand, you weren't worried. You weren't worried about it. You're like, they'll figure it out. They'll get it. Good to go.
No, I never even thought about it. Honestly, it didn't even concern me there for a while.
Yeah.
913 says they have the rule in the house. The wife makes more money, so she manages the money. She spends more, she manages the money.
Okay.
Rob's happy with this situation.
Yeah.
She's probably fine with it, too.
Yeah, she doesn't care. She doesn't care. She's like, she knows it's my thing. She doesn't care.
You're like, cool.
Yeah.
Handle the money. Sounds good. All the bills are paid?
She leaves me with the finances, which I'm fine with.
What, do you get like an envelope?
Because she knows
How's the budget system work for fun money?
We used to do envelopes for a while. Because we're a Dave Ramsey household, right? So we used to have the envelopes, but then it gets tedious. And
I don't want to fill up the envelope every week.
And I don't want to carry a lot of cash around. I mean, I rarely carry cash. I don't know about you.
Rare anymore.
Right.
I have my jar of cash.
Yeah, right.
It's different.
You don't carry
Different
a big
money.
jug of cash around with you going to the store?
No. I used to carry cash all the time. I worked in cash businesses for so damn long.
Yeah.
I got paid in cash at when I was like 15 to 18, I worked a job at a concession stand. They paid me in cash all day.
Someone says they're currently sitting on Southwest Boulevard and
making NBA
bets. Well done.
It's not uncommon.
Good luck, sir or madam.
People do it. That's not weird.
I know.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's weird at all if that's the case.
No.
So bye-week content. What do you guys have in store at Fox this weekend?
Well, we got a lot of high school football coming up tonight, right? They're in the playoffs on both sides of the state.
So my kids eventually will go to Oak Park. They're still in it, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought you'd know.
I didn't work yesterday. I haven't turned on emails and stuff today. And that's why Harold Kuntz is the best because he handles all the high school football stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what do you know about high school football? Nothing? Who's good?
I know more than you think, but
You know more than me.
I'm trying to give my man Harold some credit here because he does
Harold's
a lot, and Sean McDowell. You know, Harold's done a lot on here. But we got some college basketball coming up, and then of course college football this weekend.
God, I can't. College basketball being back. Those that first month of college basketball, it's like it is hard to get me to even tune in for like a half of a game.
Well, I mean,
there's just too many other sports to watch.
It's usually not good. I mean, obviously K-State played USC. That was a good game. But most of the time, it's Kansas playing schools that a lot of people couldn't even name the mascot, right? North Carolina Central, right?
Yeah.
So they'll get better, but they're still playing.
I mean, as deep as these conferences are, eventually some of these non-con games are going to get replaced for straight conference
You would
schedule.
think at some point.
I'm surprised they haven't switched. Honestly, that's one of the few things that surprises me about college athletics right now is that they haven't switched to a more conference game model. But I don't think that that's going to happen until they get full control over selection of who gets into these postseason tournaments. Because they still don't want to hurt themselves from a conference perspective of this is our record, this is what it stands for, this is
well, and
where
those schedules
are.
have been out, several
decided
years
for
in
years.
advance. Yeah,
Sure.
So.
But as they start getting 16, 20 team conferences or whatever it is, then you're going to run into those problems.
From the 913, the parking lot at Price Chopper, 135th and Mission is full of guys in cars from Missouri on Sunday morning.
Again, we know it.
Yeah, it happens.
It's not surprising.
That's fantastic.
When I lived up north, up in Maryville, where I went to school, I had a group of friends that would, every Sunday morning, they would drive to Iowa.
Right.
Because it's like a 25-minute drive. There's a gas station right across the border. They would get gas, sit in the parking lot, make their bets, and drive back.
Nice. I heard Gold talking about going to Iowa before to make bets.
Yeah.
Before.
And he may or may not, unconfirmed reports, had a bookie that, took bets. Not like a bookie that, you don't go to like a dingy corner in the bar to hand him an envelope of cash.
He had a dude.
He had an online platform that maybe you could or could not place bets on.
From Antigua. Yeah, I hear Brandy. Thanks for the drink, man.
Of course. Thanks, Rob. Rob Collins of Fox 4. Catches work over at Fox 4, obviously. Thanks to Q. for filling in. Thanks for you for listening for a full 4 hours today. We'll be back, full show, back on Monday morning. Catch Casey In Zone show.
Yeah.
Coming up on Sunday. Even though there's
8:30.
no game, still going to be here, right?
We'll be there. Cody Tapp will be on, so
I'll be the guest.
you can't miss that segment.
Yeah. You just heard part of this.
You can tell the kids all about it. Maybe it'd be more interesting than radio.
No, man, I tried to show them YouTube, and I couldn't even get them there. 4 and 5-year-olds not impressed with what I do. What can I say? Thanks for joining us.